Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The November 19th regular meeting of the Murrieta City Council is now called to order. Madam City Clerk, can you please call roll to determine a quorum?
Councilmember DeForest.
Here.
Councilmember Lavelle.
Here.
Councilmember Holliday.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Warren.
Here.
Mayor Stone.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all members are present.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by our City Manager, Kim Summers, and remain standing for the invocation led by Pastor Doug Cole with the Murrieta Church of Christ.
Please place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, yeah. I'm all right.
Let's pray. Father God, we come before you, realizing, Father, you are the source of all that's good. You're the source of truth. You're the source of light and life. And Father, you've told us to not lean on our own understanding, but to trust in you. And so we come before you, seeking your wisdom, your guidance to bless this city. Father, you've given us more than we deserve. You have blessed us with so many good things. Open our eyes to all the good things you've given us. Don't let us miss your blessings. But Father, we do pray for wisdom. You told us, Father, to seek you and ask for wisdom. So we pray for wisdom, Father, for this council, for this city, for all the people who are presenting, Father, as your people are affected by what happens here. And so we pray for your wisdom to bless this council, to make the decisions, to do the things that are good, that are fair, that are right, that are needed to provide the city for these people to live in and to prosper in. Father, we pray for protection for our families. We pray for the blessing on our children and our grandchildren. Father, for our seniors who have seen so much of life, we pray your presence and protection as this council makes decisions for this city. We pray your wisdom in their thoughts. And we pray this, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor Cole. Moving on to presentations. Our first presentation is Small Business Saturday. Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To accept the proclamation is Patrick Ellis, President and CEO of Murrieta Wildomar Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Ellis.
Mr. Ellis, why don't you come to the podium? Before we talk about Small Business Saturday, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, Mayor Stone, council, staff. As was said, Patrick Ellis, President and CEO of the Murrieta Wildomar Chamber of Commerce. We're very excited for another Small Business Saturday coming up this year. Obviously, an event that happens annually the Saturday after Thanksgiving every year to really showcase locally owned businesses, small businesses that are the backbone of our community. It's very important that we all take the time, especially during the holiday season, not just on that Saturday, but throughout the whole entire holiday season, to really focus and spend our dollars as locally as much as possible. For every dollar that is spent locally in a small business or a locally owned business, it doesn't necessarily have to be a small business, but if it's locally owned, I'll use an example as Grocery Outlet is a locally owned grocery store. If you spend dollars at places like that, 67 cents of every dollar stays within the community. That's a huge impact to our entire community. So very excited for this opportunity, and thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you very much. So with that, sir, whereas the City of Murrieta celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, and whereas small businesses are the backbone of our economy, and when we support small businesses, jobs are created and local communities are able to preserve their unique culture, and whereas there are more than 3,600 small businesses in the City of Murrieta employing 25 or fewer people, many of them minorities and women-owned businesses. And now, therefore, let it be resolved that the City Council of the City of Murrieta does hereby proclaim November 30th, 2024 as Small Business Saturday in the City of Murrieta, dated this 19th day of November 2024. So, colleagues, will you join me in front here, and we'll take a picture with Patrick. We don't have anybody taking a picture today?
All right, everybody close your eyes. Wait a minute, we got to get one of these.
Patrick, I know this is hard to believe, but ladies and gentlemen, I do not have an Amazon account, believe it or not. I do shop local. So thank you so much for everything that you do for our businesses, Patrick, and the Chamber, and congratulations on a successful Chamber in promoting our local businesses. Moving on to presentations, tonight we're going to celebrate the retirement of our city manager, Kim Summers. There she is. And before we move on to the formal presentation, are there any members of the public requesting to speak, Madam City Clerk?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do have a member of the public, Rita Nostri. If you could please come up to the podium.
Right here. Oh, okay. There you go.
Oh, this was just as a goodbye to Kim, is that okay?
Yes.
On the first one? Well, congratulations, Kim. On behalf of the Friends of the Murrieta Library, we want to wish you the very best of everything. I could have a proclamation with whereas and what fors, but I brought you this gold box, which we all know is right from C's. It's a special box of bonbons. Then we all know when you retire, you eat bonbons, but I don't think that will ever happen. So once the dust settles, and you become a regular Murrieta citizen, we'd like you to remember us at the Friends of the Library, because you've been very generous and supportive to us. And we feel that we have a place for you, special place for you as a member. So here's the box of bonbons, and we wish you good luck, and we will miss you, and thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you, Rita. Madam City Clerk, are there any public comments? Thank you so much. Moving on to the presentation, we're going to start with presentations from the council, and we're going to start with Councilmember Lavelle. No. We're not reading that. These are just comments.
Well, I will be brief. Being that I work in the medical field, I figured I'd start with a quote from the most famous doctor. Unless someone like you cares an awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. I just want to say, Kim, thank you for the last 2 years leading this whole city. You've been awe-inspiring to watch and sit back, and I really appreciate your friendship and everything you've taught me. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lavelle. Councilmember DeForest.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight, as we gather to celebrate an incredible career of Kim Summers, who has been an outstanding leader and a dedicated public servant for the city of Murrieta for over 11 years. From her early days with the city to her many years of success in various roles, especially as our city manager, Kim Summers has consistently exemplified professionalism, vision, and a commitment to improving our community. Her ability to move projects forward, like the triangle, tackle challenges, and bring innovative solutions has been a tremendous asset to Murrieta. The positive impact she has made is evident everywhere, from the growth of our city to the dynamic team she has established, to improvements that she has championed. She leaves behind a legacy of success and progress, and the city is undoubtedly a better place because of her efforts. We are sad to see her go, and we know that her retirement is well earned. And I know that you will enjoy great times with Mike camping, the only time to unwind and relax. Thank you, Kim Summers, for everything you've done. Thank you for embracing strong women and enabling them to be their best. Your encouragement will never be forgotten. Your contributions will not be lost. Murrieta will always embrace you, and so will I. Good luck, God bless, and enjoy the next chapter of your life.
Thank you, Councilmember DeForest. Councilmember Holliday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So you've heard me say this many times. While council gets all the recognition and everybody thinks council is the most important, I always say it's staff that's most important. Because think of us like a cruise ship. The city, you know, out there on the big ocean, council steers it. If nobody's manning the engines and making it go forward and everything, we can steer it all day long. It's not going to go anywhere. Staff is who makes the ship move. And you are the head of that staff. And you brought a lot of the people that are in this room to the city. And that's what makes this city great, is the staff that makes the ship go in the direction that we steer it to. And so I want to thank you for bringing the city from where it was when you first started to where it is today. And it is a great city, and a lot of that is thanks to you. So I wish you the best in retirement and pray that you're truly blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Holliday. MPT Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. Kim. It has always been clear to me that you have served our city with distinction. Your love for Murrieta is obvious. You took your role seriously and assembled an amazing staff, allowing them to become the best versions of themselves under your leadership and guidance. You have sacrificed a lot in service to our community. Even when we had a difference of opinion, you always showed me respect and allowed me to express my views freely without reservation. I truly believe you have protected this city and made it better. Because of you and your team, Murrieta Hot Springs was able to open. The Triangle is moving forward with a renewed cooperation between the city and the landowners. Town Square Park and the amphitheater is thriving with programs and events for the entire community and out-of-town visitors to enjoy. The Murrieta Innovation Center is going to be a game changer in this region with the wet and dry labs being added to the MIC. The library expansion is no longer just a dream, but becoming a reality. A new city digital monument sign on the corner of Calmia and Jefferson is underway, along with a much-needed parking lot adjacent to the amphitheater, are just a few of the many accomplishments you have achieved during your 7.5 years as Murrieta City Manager. You know, each of us get only so many heartbeats in this life, and that you have given so many of yours in service to Murrieta and all the other cities for over 25 years in city government is admirable, inspiring, and remarkable. Thank you for setting the bar high so Murrieta will continue to thrive. I wish continued happiness for you, Mike, and your family as you begin this new season in your life called retirement. Enjoy it to the fullest because you have earned it and deserved it. Kim, from the bottom of my heart, it has been an honor and privilege to work alongside you, but most of all, calling you my friend. God bless.
Thank you, MPT Warren. Kim, I'm going to take you back to 2020, the favorite time of government and what our nation was faced with. And as you had a routine, a daily routine that came to a screeching halt in March of 2020, and having to navigate a new way of government, keeping our public safety safe, keeping your employees safe, and navigating the ever changes of how we do business. I love Zoom. I still love Zoom. I really don't want to drive to Riverside for these commission meetings. I miss Zoom. But the challenges that you are faced with, you really rose above it all. And you made the city and the employees your number one priority, even over yourself. And then there were two new electeds that came on board in the mix of all of this, and having to navigate two new council members and still navigating COVID. During that time, besides trying to keep our city safe and our employees safe, there was a plethora of reasons why 50 to 60 people had left the city of Murrieta on top of everything else that you had to deal with. But you rolled up your sleeves. And the people that you have hired are absolutely remarkable. And I want to talk about that for a moment. Chief Conrad, you appointed to be our chief of police. He was perfect in representing public safety. He's such a true professional, and what you saw in him was absolutely perfect. And I'm sorry to see him leave, wherever you are, sir. But we know that we will have new leadership because of our city manager seeing what she saw in our new chief of police. Crystal McDonald, our city clerk. She might be 5 feet little, but I'm going to tell you, she is an absolute powerhouse. And what you saw in her was perfection. Kimberly Ramirez, her assistant. And then you had the challenge of making some tough decisions, and that was to look outside of Murrieta to hire our fire chief. I know that that was a tough decision, but I want you to know that Chief Malloy is also a true professional, and what you saw in him is exactly perfect for what Murrieta needed at the time. Diego Chavez, our HR director, again, another true professional. David Shancharatsu, I think I actually said it correctly, our development service director, a true professional, always there to help. Isaac Bravo, our management analyst, absolutely professional when it comes to dealing with legislation. And again, you saw something in him. He's absolutely perfect for our city. Christina Davies, our PIO. Rachel Guerrero, your executive assistant. Jace Osteen, the man has a smile on his face every day. You could be in the worst mood and he is gonna make sure that you smile and that you are happy. And then Justin Clifton, our assistant city manager, who eventually will take the reins. And Murrieta is a special place. And the people that you've hired have fit perfectly with the goals and the objectives for our city. I know this to be factual. Not all city managers have that talent that you've seen in each and every one that you have hired. Lots of accolades will happen tonight, but I believe your strongest legacy will be the insight that you have in selecting the very best of the best for City of Murrieta. As you enjoy your retirement, I know that you have such relief that you are leaving our city in the best hands possible. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for this phenomenal team that we have here. I hope you enjoy your retirement, enjoy your new pool, your beautiful home. your RV. Please do not be a stranger, and God bless. So now we're going to move on to your proclamation from our city council. And we are going to start with Councilmember DeForest.
Kimberly Kim Summers, City Manager. Whereas Kim Summers first began her career in public service over 25 years ago with the city of Hesperia, where she served as a public information officer and eventually served as deputy city manager. And whereas Kim Summers is a credentialed city manager with the International City County Managers Association, ICMA, and holds a master's degree in public administration and a bachelor's degree in communication. And
whereas Kim Summers has worked for the city of Murrieta for 11 years, first serving as assistant city manager, and in 2017 was appointed to city manager, making her the second woman city manager for the city in its 33-year history. And whereas Kim Summers credits her dedication and passion to public service to her parents who have shown commitment and devotion in their respective fields. And whereas Kim Summers' dedication to public service and her fundamental understanding of the need to foster a work culture where all can thrive and drove her to implement new organizational values citywide, focus on principles such as public service, ethics, and diversity, create a new management and mentorship training program, and focus on ethical and principled leadership. And
whereas Kim Summers has built and fostered an executive team that has been instrumental in the city's continued prosperity and goal of continual improvement, and whereas Kim Summers' leadership and unwavering vision proved invaluable throughout significant projects in the city during her tenure, such as the passing of Measure T, Costco, Trader Joe's, and several car dealerships, all fundamental for the economic growth of the city. And whereas Kim Summers' steadfast leadership has navigated the city through unforeseen challenges and circumstances such as the COVID-19 pandemic, where she ensured the level of services did not falter while meeting ever-changing and unpredictable demands. And
whereas Kim Summers has not only laid down the foundation for Murrieta's future growth, but has ensured the city and its residents thrive with its dedication to public safety and by securing amenities such as the expansion of the Murrieta Library, the ushering in of the Triangle, a soon-to-be premier shopping destination, and the redevelopment of the Murrieta Hot Springs Resort. And whereas Kim Summers' unwavering ethics and passion for public service has earned her countless awards, such as Woman of the Year for the 67th Assembly District, California State Ethical Hero Award from California Local Government Management Collaborative, Top Administrator Award from American Society for Public Administration, President's Award from the Municipal Management Association of Southern California, and the most recently, the 25-year Service Award from ICMA. And
whereas with her wealth of knowledge and experience, Kim Summers gives back to not only Murrieta community, but the profession of public service by having served the Cal Cities Women Leading Government, Municipal Management Association of Southern California, Cal Cities City Manager Department, various other committees, and in the mentorship of women. And whereas Kim Summers' hard work and dedication would not have been possible without her husband, Mike, and her two sons, Clint and Garrett, who have been a constant support system. And now, therefore, let it be known that the Murrieta City Council does hereby honor and thank Kim Summers for her service to the city of Murrieta, as well as her dedication and commitment to public service, dated this 19th day of November, 2024.
Who's he going to take it with him? Change it to John's way.
Out the door.
Us too. Madam City Clerk, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For members of the audience, we do have dignitaries here that would like to wish Kim Summers congratulations. And we are going to start with Congressman Darrell Ice's office, District Director Michael Hillman.
Kim, I have a lot of whereas and therefores as well, but we've heard the words already. The important thing is the relationships. Our office feels the same way, and you've always been very accommodating. We've had a good, solid relationship. Congressman wishes he could be here. He's in D.C., but he wants to congratulate you on a very long and successful career and wish you all the best in retirement. Also, I've been a resident here for 22 years. I've seen it, so I appreciate the work.
I'll take it, Kim. Yeah. Thank you. On behalf of Kelly Sayarto and Assemblywoman Kate Sanchez, I do have Senator Sayarto here, please.
Good evening, everyone. Madam City Manager, I am at a loss for words. No, I'm not. So you know I'm not. So, you know, I had the privilege of being on the city council that gave Kim, no. Somebody come up and hold this thing. Surprised Kim because there was a transition going on. The city manager was retiring, and I think she was made to think that there was going to be a 6-month probationary period where we were going to do a nationwide search. But some of us on the council recognized that there was no need for a nationwide search. We already had the person that we felt was going to take the city forward based on her work in the 2 short years that she was here as a assistant city manager. And so we invited her into the room and told her, jump into the frying pan because you're it. And she was a little shocked. She got 3 months to be mentored a little more, although I don't know that she needed it. And we very happily transitioned into having Kim, or Ms. Summers, be our city manager. It was not an easy time. City managing is not easy. It is one of the tougher jobs, and that's why most city managers don't last longer than 6 years. So Kim went 7.5. But we did not have a smooth paved road for her to follow. She came in when we were on the end of a very recessionary budget. Our budget was a little bit of a mess because of the recession. We had drawn down all our reserves, and we had some critical decisions to make. And she helped guide us through those. And the city quickly became financially stable. And then, of course, I abandoned ship in 2020, just in time for the wonderful, wonderful pandemic. And so she had to guide the city through the pandemic. And then she had other people left on the city council and left her with a very inexperienced council. And so she was working with them, and she had some staff transitions and did a fabulous job, as stated before, in doing all that. So the changes in the city when she was city manager were awesome. And some of them I don't know if you really noticed, but I did. And in fact, it was kind of funny. Today I was driving down Jefferson, and the lane next to the center median was blocked off. I'm thinking, what the heck? More construction? No, they were weeding the center median. Because one of the first things I remember talking to Kim about was, how come there has to be weeds in the center median of the rocks? And she said, there doesn't. And there hasn't been ever since. So she immediately went to work making sure that we raised our game in terms of how our city looked. Because if we didn't have money to do other stuff, we certainly could. She made sure that we were doing some of those small things. And it made our city look great. But then she got us through, and her leadership and her staff were able to get us through the mountain of rocks we call the Costco site. There were many times when Costco thought, we are not going to pick rocks anymore, we're leaving. But they managed to coax them through the process. And because of that, she added more stability to our economic development and made our city more attractive. And there's a center up there that everybody bitched and moaned about because, oh my God, it's next to the high school. And you know what? There it is. And it's doing fabulous. And it's convenient for our citizens. And the roads around it got done. And so there are a lot of things that city managers have to put up with. And so it's not easy to navigate them. Kim has been an all-star in doing that. And so I super appreciate not only her leadership in this community and how she's leaving it, but I appreciate her friendship more than anything. So I have this resolution. It is a joint resolution signed by Kate Sanchez and myself that is not closet-worthy. So it will be hopefully displayed prominently on one of the, when I come by, when you and Mike invite us over for a little swim, I expect to see this wonderful resolution that has, as stated before, a lot of whereases. I am not going to read your whereases tonight. You can read them yourself. But know this, we super appreciate all you have done in the city because you have done a lot. You ran the anchor leg of the relay. They gave you the baton, and you caught up to everyone else and passed them. You are well respected in this region. And so I invite you up to have your resolution and say thank you for all you've done. Bye-bye. No, I'm just kidding.
From Riverside County Supervisor Chuck Washington's office, Chief of Staff Robin Brock.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Supervisor Chuck Washington and the entire Board of Supervisors for Riverside County, we would like to present this proclamation to Kim. Your leadership and dedication has truly shaped the city of Murrieta. One thing that I have always admired about you is that you lead with heart, collaboration, and vision. And that is seen throughout your work with your colleagues in the county, even when you're working with us, and we truly appreciate it. You will be missed, but I hope you enjoy every bit of your retirement. It's well deserved.
From Eastern Municipal Water District, Board Vice President Director Stephen Corona.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to congratulate you on the behalf of Eastern Municipal Water District and our board. The city of Murrieta and Eastern Municipal Water District has had a tremendous relationship over the years. Without sewer and water, you can't have a city, and without a great staff and the two staffs working together to get all these projects done, it just doesn't happen. And with your leadership, it's been able to go great. We got the Los Alamos project, got that done. And, we got some more things going on in the Keyhole area that we're working on. And I know it's a little confusing having 3 water districts here to take care of things, although I do represent the best one. I know we're going to get a gripe over here from my fellow water folks here, but anyway, just want to congratulate you on a great career and to have a great retirement going forward. Here's a little present thing. Thank you.
From Rancho, California Water District, General Manager Jason Martin.
One of the many water districts that Steve mentioned. Thanks. Kim, really want to say congratulations on your retirement, and on behalf of our entire board of directors, we're very proud to present this resolution to you, congratulating you on all that you've accomplished in the city and all that you're going to get to do in your retirement. I know for me, I've been able to raise 6 kids in this community. Lived in the area for over 30 years, and I've just seen it grow. And I know under the last 7 years of your leadership, the city has really prospered, and my family has been impacted by that, and I truly appreciate it. And so again, congrats on retirement. We're super happy for you, a little bit jealous. And I just want to say thanks for the Costco.
From Western Municipal Water District, Director Brenda Denstedt.
Thank you. Kim, I remember when you first got here. It's been that long. And despite what one of the previous water directors said, we do know where your water comes from at City Hall, Western. Thank you very much. So there you go. Okay. Kim, you've been such a friend to water, and so many projects that we've been able to collaborate on, some of the things that we've really been able to accomplish. I know providing recycled water here to the city, doing a lot of things that really help development come forward. We worked really hard on solving some really difficult and challenging issues. Jefferson Corridor is being one of them, and finally that is coming to fruition. And so that has been all under your leadership and your guidance. And, the culture that you've created here at the city, look at the turnout. People don't turn out for people they don't like and they don't appreciate. You've had a tremendous, there is standing room only in this room, and that is a true testament of who you are as a leader, what you have brought to the city, what you have cultivated, what you have nurtured as a leader. And for that, I appreciate that as a resident I've appreciated your guidance and your friendship. I've enjoyed our lunches over the years, and you are going to be truly missed. Thank you.
From Murrieta Valley Unified School District Superintendent, Dr. Ward Andrus.
All right, again, like everyone else, great to be here tonight and looking around. It's a great place to be and it's a great time to honor you, Kim. There's a lot of whereases on here as well. We're not going through all of them, but I'm going to read one. This one is very significant and important to all of our parents and to all of our students. Kimberly Summers, whereas Kimberly Summers supported the expansion of school resource officers to ensure school safety by dedicating a sergeant and a detective and sworn police officers to serve in every school within the Murrieta Valley Unified School District. This is not common. I've worked up and down the state. I do accreditations up and down the state. Most superintendents are lucky if they have one or two to support their entire district. And we have one at every secondary school who also supports every elementary school. So we appreciate the leadership and the support to make that happen on behalf of our students. So congratulations. And so whereas, be it resolved that we issue this proclamation on my behalf as Superintendent of Schools to Kim Summers.
If I could kindly have Fire Chief Bernie Malloy.
I'm going to bring the fire department with me, too. Come on down here. So, Kim, in the fire service, we have a tradition, and that tradition is when one of ours retires, we send them with an axe. And the reason we do that is because the axe to us is very symbolic. We're given an axe the day we come in the fire service because this is something that we need to keep us with us at all times. And if we care for it, it will care for our safety, and it will get us out of problems whenever we have them. So we make sure that our retirees have an axe to take with them into retirement. So if they ever need to, they can have it help them solve their problems, remodeling, anything you may need. Kim, you have always been a part of this fire department since you've been here. You have given us everything we need to be one of the premier fire departments in this state, and you will always be part of the Murrieta Fire and Rescue. And this is your team, you're one of us, so please come accept your axe as we take you into retirement. You wanted your axe?
My axe is nicer than my brother's.
Sorry. Thank you. And we'll hang this right above Senator Ciardo's resolution as well. So, yeah, it'll be right above it. Firefighters travel in packs. It's just what we do. Thank you, Kim.
So my brother's a retired fire chief, but my axe is nicer.
If I could please have Murrieta Police Chief Tony Conrad.
Fire guys are bringing axes, I'm bringing flowers, so. Cats are living with dogs, it's crazy. Okay. So I decided this morning not to free talk this. I want these words to be very good. Kim already clearly knows how I feel about her as my boss, but what rarely happens is Kim doesn't really get to hear how my department feels about her. So I'll start with this. It's hard to form trusting relationships with police officers because police officers are very distrusting of people. We put a lot of stock in our ability to trust somebody, especially trust in our leaders. For us, trust is very much earned. So Kim, I want you to know that you have earned the trust of my police officers, my dispatchers, and my staff. You have never given my staff inaccurate information, always shown them that you care, always called them back and listened even at those late hours. And you've always been honest with them, even when the information that you were sharing wasn't something they wanted to hear. They definitely know they can rely on you and they can rely on your word. That means a lot to us. I have seen firsthand over the last 4 years that you are a leader that influences with your ability to collaborate, show respect, and lead any group in a positive direction. For those amazing traits, the men and women of the Murrieta Police Department not only trust you, Kim, but we very much respect you. I previously gave Kim a badge from my agency, and I also asked her to be in our 30-year department photo. That doesn't really happen with city managers. I've seen a lot of police department photos over my last 30 years, and I have yet to see one with a city manager in the middle. So let it be known, not one member of my department had a problem with me giving Kim those honors. As a matter of fact, many of them came to me and were very pleased that I did it. On a side note, she really enjoyed those honors. She wanted a taser, and I put my foot down on that. Now that I see this axe, though, she may be getting a taser, Bernie. Yeah. So, Kim, please accept this bouquet of your favorite PD Blue flowers from the men and women of the Murrieta Police Department and my Police Officers Association. Both my current POA president and past president are in the back to witness this. I know I speak for my entire department as well as the POA when I tell you that we are very grateful for your service as our city manager, and we appreciate you. And Mike, thank you for your patience as Kim has worked those long hours as our city manager. With that, we wish you a happy and healthy and well-deserved retirement, Kim. And don't forget to call in those vacay checks, because if our city manager, if something happens to her home, that person's getting booked. So make sure you let us know, all right?
With the Murrieta Chamber of Commerce, President and CEO Patrick Ellis.
Thank you for this opportunity, Kim. I'll start off with the professional part. On behalf of the Murrieta-Wildomar Chamber of Commerce, our board of directors, our entire membership, our staff, everybody involved in the business community here in Murrieta, we're very sad to see this day, but we're very happy for you in your retirement. I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to work with you for the last 10 years now. I will say there has been no greater pleasure than to be able to work with you side by side on so many different things. It honestly feels like the last 10 years has been about 3 lifetimes, to be honest with you, because there's been a lot. Most of it good, some of it not so much, but you know, we get through those together. On the personal side, I'm going to say I will miss you tremendously. It's been an unfortunate season of missing people right now, and this is not a good one for me either. But the 2 things I'm going to miss the most are, one is anytime we were ever out at some sort of an event or something and we were having dinner is I miss the opportunity to be able to order dessert, everyone at the table thinking it's for me when it's really for Kim. I will miss that. But the thing I'll miss probably the most is, as most people know, I sit in the seat right back there at most of the city council meetings and have a tendency to maybe say things or make faces or crack jokes. And I will miss the stares that I get from you in that seat right there. But probably more the little giggles because you know exactly what I'm saying. So I don't have any gifts for you, but I will make sure that whenever you need a dessert in town, you just let me know. I'm always around. So congratulations, Kim.
And if I can have former Mayor, Councilmember Randon Lane.
Good evening. So I gave a lot of thought to what I might say this evening, and my mind raced in many different directions, and so I will go with this. I've had the privilege of serving with you as you served as assistant city manager, and then as a city manager, I had the privilege of being on the city council in 2017 when we overwhelmingly supported you to be the next city manager. It's interesting when you look at a city manager and the job they do. The average life of a city manager in the state of California, I believe, is 2.5 or 3 years long, and you more than doubled that in this city. I have thought about the time that we have spent together, the phone calls we have had, your willingness, even when I stepped down in 19 to go to DC, to even then take my phone calls as I drove around DC giving you ideas what I thought might look great in the city of Murrieta. And that's just been the city manager, the person that you have been. When I look at the difficulties that a city manager has to deal with when it comes to individuals with strong personalities, people who are incredibly strongly opinionated, and people who have over-the-top personalities, and that was just me alone. You have done an incredible job. Whether it was smooth sailing, whether it was personality conflicts, whether it was petty politics, you had the grace, the patience, and the kindness that every city manager should learn from. And you have done things for this city. You have been a part of this city, and you have led this city in a manner which I think sets the bar for all future city managers. I am proud that I got to be on the council when you were our city manager. I appreciate Mike and his little pokes at me every once in a while to keep me humble. But I appreciate you, and I think you have been an incredible asset to the city of Murrieta. And with all of my heart, I greatly appreciate your friendship, and I wish you and Mike in your retirement just a fullness and joy that you can have in the years to come. Thank you very much.
And Madam Mayor, our last speaker, Assistant City Manager Justin Clifton.
Kim, it's my honor on behalf of this organization, the council, the team, and community to present you with one last memento. And for those that are curious, inside this bag is not a single whereas, but is the Murrieta watch. And I think the watch is an especially fitting gift for you because we've been under your watch for the last 7+ years as our city manager. I think probably most people know you through venues like this one, where the public sees you come and the council convenes and you do some of the most important work. But I know, as many others do, that your real impact has not been just helping oversee and watch the council or helping develop the community. I expect you could probably, I'll bet you have in fact forgotten more things than you've done than some people have accomplished in their career so far. But what most of us will not ever forget is how you made us feel as our leader while we were under your watch. I sat in a meeting this morning listening to your executive team gush about how they'd never met anyone like you in their career. They'd never had another leader quite like you. And so while at this time, your watch over us is winding down, I hope you know that the impact you've had, the way you've touched our lives and helped shape our careers, and how that has been a force multiplier, not just for the things we've gotten done as a team, but most importantly for the experience we've had as people working with you, will live forever. Thank you, and good luck to you in the next phase.
Madam City Manager, would you like to say a few words?
Apparently not. She's running out the door.
But I wrote them down, so there's so much to say and not enough time to say it. So as I've been approaching my retirement, I'm so happy that I can look back on my time here with immense pride and gratitude. Serving as the city manager for Murrieta has been one of the greatest honors of my career. Every project we undertook, every challenge we faced, and every success we celebrated has been driven by one goal: to make this organization and this community the best place to live, work, and raise a family. Okay, I know that's more than one. But over the last 11 years, I've had the privilege of working alongside the best and most dedicated professionals who are also wonderful people, and they give their all every day, and many of them are here in this room. My executive team is outstanding, and they have all played an instrumental role in shaping the growth, spirit, and resilience of our city. Team, it's your hard work, it's your vision, and your passion to serve that have made a difference. I'm so grateful to have had a front row seat to witness it. You make me proud every day. Thank you for letting me be part of your team. To our Murrieta employees who come to work every day with the heart of public servants and a love for this community, I will miss you. Thank you for all that you do. To Justin, I have every confidence that you will continue to guide Murrieta forward with integrity, dedication, and a clear vision for the future. This city has limitless potential, and I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I know I'm leaving the organization in great hands. To past and current city councils, thank you for entrusting me with this role, for your partnership, and for your commitment to our shared mission of caring for the members of this community. Although I'm retiring, Murrieta will always have a special place in my heart, and as a resident, I look forward to seeing all of the great things that lie ahead. So being a city manager requires a solid foundation of support, and I've been blessed with that my entire career. some of my family's here tonight, my brother and sister-in-law and my niece, as well as my oldest son and his girlfriend, and hopefully the young ones watching online up north in Northern California. I couldn't be here today, but they've supported me since day one, and they all share my love of public service. To my two sons, who sacrificed their time with their mother, picked up so much trash, wore the city mascot even when it was 102 degrees, volunteered whenever there was a need, and were dragged to countless city council meetings over 25 years. I love you to infinity and beyond, up there, out there, and I couldn't have done it without you. And last, as usual, is my amazing husband. Your patience and capacity to listen to the good and the bad are limitless. Your understanding when others were the priority, such as being endlessly on the phone or checking emails constantly, has truly been a gift. Each day, you send me out the door with a glass of iced tea, words of encouragement, and a deep respect for the position that I hold here and my love for this organization and community. I know that you know how much it means to me, and saying thank you will never be enough. You have been my rock, and I can't wait to start a new stress-free life with you, and I love you endlessly. And thank you, everyone, very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, right now it is 6:58. 7:00, my computer says 6:58, 7:01. We are going to take a 15-minute reception break. If you'd like to stay and join us in the Veterans Room, but promptly in 15 minutes we are coming back because we have a long night of business. So we will reconvene in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Holliday?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Warren?
Yes.
Mayor Stone?
Yes.
Let the record reflect.
Thank you, Madam
Motion
City
carries.
Clerk. Moving on to Governing Body Commission and Committee Board reports. The Governing Body reports is the opportunity for City Council to provide a brief report on conferences, seminars, commission, committee, and/or board meeting attendance. Reports shall not exceed 3 minutes. Councilmember DeForest.
I have nothing to report out tonight. Thank you so much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Lavelle.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to report that I attended the Cal Cities Conference with all of you, I believe were there, and that's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Lavelle. Councilmember Holliday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a couple, obviously Cal Cities Conference, Santa Stops meeting, a couple of those, but I wanted to talk about the Regional Conservation Authority. We approved an agreement to provide professional wildfire management planning services for the next 2 years, which I was excited about because I know it has affected parts of Murrieta. When we had the fire off Los Alamos, that was RCA-owned land along with city-owned habitat land. So they are going to put together a plan to make sure that we mitigate the fire as much as possible without disturbing the critters. The Western Region Riverside Council of Governments was my next meeting, and we received an update on the Energy Resilience Plan 2.0, which is basically creating microgrids to have areas that won't be without power if there's a power outage. And Murrieta has a couple of buildings that they're looking at, being able to move that forward. And then we also signed a memorandum of understanding to provide funds to Riverside County Transportation Commission, which Councilmember Warren is on,
to realign a section of Winchester Road, State Highway 79. So it's not going to go through Dominigoni Parkway and Newport. It's going to kind of curve over and create a whole new intersection that bypasses a lot of that traffic. I think it was 3.5 miles, and our contribution was somewhere around 35 million. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Councilmember Holliday. MPT Warren.
Thank you, Mayor Stone. I also had the honor of attending the League of California City Conference and Expo. I also attended the Southwest Elected Leaders Collaborative with Mayor Stone and Assistant City Manager Kristen Crane. I hosted, or Murrieta hosted, the Teen Now Southwest meeting, which is a committee meeting off of the RTA department or commission. I also attended the RTA Board of Directors meeting on October the 24th. I think I went to Riverside more than I was at home. And then we did a trial run of a bus challenge within the Teen Now, so that we won't get everybody else lost next year. I had to go from Murrieta to the Paris station and figure out how to get there using their app, which we found out it needs work. I did not get lost, nor did I get off at the wrong station, but I got there, grabbed a bite to eat, and turned around and came back. To get to the Paris station took 2 hours and 10 minutes, but I did do it, so I was very proud of that. So we have a big challenge coming up for our collaborative and other RTA members, so I look forward to hearing about that. I also attended our Riverside County Transportation Committee meeting, Commission meeting on the 13th. The California State Transportation Agency, CalSTA, has released their draft updates for the 2021 Climate Action Plan for Transportation. Their policy is to make it more difficult for roadways, highway projects to compete for SB1 gas tax program funding. We are going out to our cities, our elected officials, and the public to try and fight this, because it's going to take away funding for our road improvements and our highways and freeways. So we are working diligently to go to Sacramento and get that, to let them know what we are up to. That concludes my report.
Thank you, MPT Warren. I attended as the delegate to the Cal Cities conference, and unfortunately we did not have a quorum, so we were unable to vote. Yesterday, I attended the Riverside Area Homeless Forum, and I have to give kudos to Brian Ambrose, who is a rock star, and his entire team with regards to how we handle our homeless in Murrieta. So kudos to you, Brian. And also, I attended the Southwest Elected Collaborative, and this year's theme is traffic congestion and freeway congestion. The last 10 months, we have gathered monthly with transportation agencies such as RCTC, RTA, WRCOG, our state representatives, Kelly Ciarto, Senator Kate Sanchez, Assembly, our County Riverside, Pechanga, and all 5 cities to come together to talk about regional issues with regards to traffic congestion. In the last 10 months, we've gathered a tremendous amount of data. Tomorrow, we will be meeting to discuss what the ask will be when we go before Sacramento in February. We'll be meeting with HCD, the Environmental Commission, Transportation Commission, and hopefully the Governor's Office to talk about how Southwest Riverside County cannot handle rail. We need to expand our freeways, and we need infrastructure with regards to the mandates that are imposed on the backs of the cities. So that concludes my governing body commission and committee reports. Moving on to public comments. This is non-agenda items. Any person may address the governing bodies on any subject pertaining to city business. Normally, no action may be considered or taken by the governing bodies on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Requests for more time must be made to the city clerk with a timing limit to a maximum of 6 minutes. Madam City Clerk, are there any public comments?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Jim Nidrecker.
Good evening. My name is Jim Niederrecker. I was here on October 15th. I'm a volunteer with United Sovereign Americans. Myself and my team read a resolution to you, and the resolution basically says that we want the Secretary of State in California to address numerous issues with election integrity. Tonight, I want to share a little bit more data with you and encourage you to put this on an agenda item for the future so you can discuss it and vote to support it. In 2022, I belong to another team called Riverside Election Integrity Group, and in 2022, one of our team members looked at the data for that election. It was the primary election, and what she found when she compared the votes counted by the machines in Riverside with the actual ballots delivered by United States Postal Service was a 35,000 ballot discrepancy. And the county didn't react to that. So in 2022 midterm, we looked at the same data. We compared the post office receipts with what the machines counted. There was a 34,000 ballot discrepancies. The in-person ballots were just as bad. Then we looked at the June Temecula School Board special election. That was a special election to recall the Temecula School Board president. There was only 9,700 ballots cast, and the difference between the ballots cast and the ballots counted was 93. By law, ballots cast and counted need to match, right? It's just simple accounting, not rocket science. So 93 to 93 ballots discrepancy, the difference in that election was 212. So it didn't impact the election, but right now, the election for Vandegrift and Munoz in your school board here, the difference right now is only 67 votes. So we have very close elections, but we've got discrepancies in the way our elections are being run. The Register of Voters in Riverside is required to look at the address data and identity data in the voter rolls. We have 1.34 million registered voters in Riverside. The registrar used the Experian Credit Agency to look at that data, and he found 270,000 registrants with no match. Or Experian found 270,000 registrants, no match, and 146,000 no best address. That's 400,000 potential entries in our voter rolls that are discrepant. So what I'm asking is this data reflects the issue that's in the USA data, and so I'm asking if you could put this on a future agenda. I'd be happy to meet with any of you anytime to answer any questions you might have, and you have my contact information. Thank you.
Miles Sisti.
Hi, my name is Mel Sisti, and I am here to discuss the problem of our schools having snack and supply problems. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. My name is Mel Sisti, and I am the 4th grade class president of at Current. I want to thank our Mayor, Lori Stone, for visiting our school last week. I had a great time giving her a tour of our school, and I am here tonight to learn about how local government works. As president, my mission is to raise money for classroom supplies and snacks for our schools and students. Every classroom I've been in hasn't had enough snacks or supplies, and the teachers have had to ask parents to donate. Also, sometimes my friends do not have snacks at school, and I want to put a stop to it. My school, and I'm sure other schools in the area, do not have enough snacks or supply. I am here to bring this to your attention, and I want to thank you for your time.
Kathy Machiche?
I know. I would do. Support. I'm shaking.
Don't, yeah.
That was very good. Yes. You want to come up or no? I wasn't prepared for this, so, all right, I'm going to start. We live at Amanda Park Senior Apartments, and we have water problems, serious water problems. First, good evening, council members. My name is Kathy Machiche. These are two.
Virginia Lee and
Armenta. I'm speaking on their behalf as well. We live at Amanda Park Senior Apartments. I'd like to address the water issues at our complex, the outdoor water issues, the irrigation system and sprinkler system, and overflow into our city drains. I've made several calls to USA Property Management that manages Amanda Park Senior Apartments. There's 395 units. Most of the residents are in their 80s and 90s. I'm probably the youngest one there, so I'm kind of the advocate for the apartments. I've contacted, the property. Excessive water flooding on the property and geysers shooting out of the ground, waist high and up in the air. So I came in here and contacted code enforcement. I spoke with Robert Hussey. He was trying to take care of this. This was back in May. Now they are addressing the water issues on the outside, but there's still irrigation system problems, and the water is running at night all the way down the city through our parking lot, a whole city block long, down into the drains. So my children and my grandchildren have to grow up here, and we need to have the water issue taken care of. Now the inside water issue. We are all first floor residents, us three here. My apartment has flooded twice in 2 years. This young lady's apartment has flooded twice in 2 years. This young lady's apartment has flooded twice, and today is her third flood. Our apartments are flooding. And here I've sent photographs to USA Corporation. One of their response to me is they're unable to prevent unforeseen building failures from happening. This is unacceptable. I can show you photographs where her whole floor in her bedroom is dug up. They're using jackhammers. My apartment had raw sewage a year ago in March of 2023. I just had a flood November 11th. I lost almost $2,000 worth of property. I have renter's insurance, but since my first flood, my renter's insurance will not even cover and lower my deductible. So it's unacceptable that we are 80 and 90-year-old residents that live there that don't have proper use of their bathroom. I have 2 minutes. So we seniors, we are senior citizens that live in this complex. Some residents are very elderly and can barely take care of themselves, let alone try to deal with apartments flooding. She has diabetes. This is her third flood. They want her to sleep in that apartment tonight. And we live in the city of Murrieta, so we need your help. What I want to ask for, let me just tell you about the rest about the flooding. The water is turned off several times a day because they have to turn the water off to do the repairs. Seniors are having to walk over to the clubhouse to even use the bathroom and wash their hands.
There's no running water all day. It's unacceptable because some residents are not even mobile. Now I'm just going to give you just a few of the apartments that I know of that have flooded. This is the list of apartments that have flooded or have had large sections of walls cut out to repair the pipes and the plumbings, because they have no idea. Some of it is underground because the pipes are so old. Some of it is in the walls. The last flood I had, they cut 9 different sections out of my walls, and I called code enforcement, and I was told that it's a code violation and they need to get a permit if they're going to cut out walls. Then I was told by Robert Hussey, no, they don't need to do that because then it's an emergency thing. But I was 5 days with walls in a hotel with my walls cut out. The first night I stayed in my apartment, I actually had 2 floods, 2 problems in 2 different days, a day apart. The first one, her apartment flooded. She lives directly behind me. Oh, I have 58 minutes. Or 58 seconds, sorry. Her apartment flooded. They came into my apartment, cut out walls. That was on a Wednesday. Thursday, a pipe broke the very next day. So I had already had walls cut out. They were trying to fix my plumbing. Now I just have to tell you, H101, this was an elderly person. This was May 14th to be exact, because I went into her apartment. They left her in that apartment for 3 weeks with insulation hanging down on her from her ceiling. This is a senior person. They jackhammered her floor up. All her belongings were everywhere. Apartment E105 flooded. Apartment L107, which is myself, is flooded twice. Apartment L102. The resident had to call 911. She had to go to the hospital because of her apartment flooding. She called 911 at 7:30 in the morning, this young lady. Apartment K103, she's on her 3rd flood. This is a lady with diabetes on her 3rd flood. We need your help, and what we want to ask for, and there's several other apartments I can give you right now, is only the ones that I know of. And I'm the advocate for the apartment building. These are all first floors because they're flooding underground, and we live in your city. So what I'm requesting,
Kathy,
for the city.
I'm really sorry, but your time is up, and this is, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to have you go out to the foyer. I'm going to have our Assistant City Manager, Kristen Crane, and our Director, David Chancharansu. They're going to go out into the foyer, and they're going to gather some information from you, and they will guide you. Yes. So if you step out to the foyer, they will meet you out there. Thank you so much for your time.
That concludes public comments.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Moving on to the consent calendar, approval items 1 through 17. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and may be enacted by one motion and vote. There will be no discussion of these items unless specific items are removed from the consent calendar for a separate motion. Are there any requests from the City Council to pull any consent calendar items for discussion or abstain from voting? Madam City Clerk, I'd like to pull item 12, please. And I have a motion by Councilmember DeForest and a second by MPT Warren. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously 5-0 with item number 12 pulled.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. There's a reason why I pulled item number 12. And I want to thank everyone involved in bringing this item to fruition. I'd like to start with our Chief, Tony Conrad, and the Police Department. I want to thank you for your vision, your commitment for ensuring that this Murrieta City Police Department remains one of the top performing departments in the state and recognizing the need for this critical equipment. I'd like to also thank our City Manager, Kim Summers, for her leadership in overseeing staff to submit a federal funding request back in 2023, ensuring that all the necessary timelines are met. This gives you an idea how slow government works. Also like to thank Townsend Public Affairs, Alchemy Group for their assistance in securing the funding necessary for this project. And most importantly, to thank Congressman Darrell Issa, whose steadfast support backing our city's need at the federal level and has been instrumental in securing $900,000 in federal funding. The new mobile command center is a much-needed resource for our police and fire departments. It will enhance the city's ability to respond effectively to emergencies, ensuring the safety and well-being of our community. Thank you again to everyone who played a vital role in making this project a reality. And I see we have Isaac and the chief sitting here, and I'm just going to hand the floor to you.
Thank you, Mayor Stone. We have a quick presentation for you on the Public Safety Mobile Command Center. Great. So back in 2000, the city purchased a mobile command center. It's a great piece of equipment that's used by both fire and our police department for operations. It is a little bit dated, and so on its last legs, the police chief and the police department came and said this is a CIP that we need. And hence, this is the project that's before you. Tonight, for your consideration, is the contract for replacement of this vehicle as well as the equipment within. The mouse is not working. There it is. The total project funding is $1.8 million. The city would have had to fund the full amount, but as Mayor Stone, you mentioned, thanks to the support by Congressman Darrell Issa, we have received $900,000 in community project funding requests, and it is a lengthy process. It started back in 2023, and it's finally gotten approved in 2024. We've gotten approval from our Department of Justice. This funding will come again before council. Specifically, what you're considering tonight is the appropriation of Measure T and DIF fees for the purchase of this brand new vehicle, similar, not this exact vehicle. We're not buying secondhand from Carlsbad, but it will be similar to this, and will be modernized, able to have more equipment. And I'm here with the police chief that will help better explain what functions this will have.
I will say, Mr. Bravo, Lieutenant Durant, and our team in finance have done most of the heavy lift here, so I'm just can answer any questions you have. Thank you, Mayor, for pulling the item. It's a very expensive piece of equipment. $1.8 million is a lot for our taxpayers. But the piece of equipment we're currently operating really is outdated. It's probably been outdated for at least 10 years. So we've been asking for this funding or looking for it all the way back to 2018. Obviously, we're very grateful to Congressman Issa and the work that all of you have done. Council Member Lisa DeForest, I know you worked very closely with him when you were our mayor, so that $900,000 means a lot to the city. This piece of equipment will go out on everything from critical incidents, crime scenes, natural disasters, floods, earthquakes, fires, SWAT callouts. It would be used in civil unrest. I can just go down the line. This will be a very used piece of equipment, very important for the citizens of Murrieta that this piece of equipment be here in the city. It's also a regional piece of equipment, as you guys know. We work very closely with the other chiefs and fire chiefs, so this command post could actually serve all of Southwest Riverside County. So with that, I just wanted to drive home. Thank you for pulling the item, and if Mr. Bravo and I can answer any questions, we'd be happy to do that.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much for your presentation, and I need a motion and a second, please. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to public hearing. Fiscal year 2025-2026 allocation of community development block grant funding. We now move to the public hearing. Are there any council members that would like to recuse themselves from any items? Seeing none. Staff, please present.
Hello again, Mayor and members of the City Council. Tonight, we have the allocation of 25-26 Community Development Block Grant Funding, also known as CDBG. I will be quick, as concise as possible. CDBG is federal funding that is provided through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD. We have a contract with Riverside County We apply to Riverside County. They allocate our funding as part of that agreement. Tonight, the City Council is going to finalize the allocation of all of our CDBG funding for next year. CDBG funding has national objectives, which are listed here on this slide. But essentially, they are to benefit the community, especially low to moderate income individuals, eliminate blight. And in 2020, we saw the urgent need of the assistance with the pandemic. And so CDBG was allowed to be used then. The city is an entitlement city. We gained that status in 2021. It just means that we receive a little bit more funding than other agencies. And the estimated amount for fiscal year 25-26 is $577,000. Not all of that money can be allocated to public service projects. All of it could be allocated to a specific city project, but this is how the funding breaks down for fiscal year 25-26. 15% can go to public service projects. That's the $86,550 that you see. 20%, which is the combined 13 and 7% there, are for administrative costs. We split that with Riverside County per our agreement. And then the next slide, that total, I believe, is $115,000 of that 577. That just goes to the administrative oversight. We do have a consultant that helps us monitor CDBG applicants who are not also funded by other agencies throughout Riverside County. And the county takes the remaining 13% as part of the contract. Per HUD, as we mentioned, public service projects are nonprofit programs that are set up by nonprofit organizations that we can help assist, and they provide a benefit to the community. This year, we see a reduction in our total public service project funding. Last year, we saw a significant boost. This year, the estimate is about 9% less than what we had in prior years. So as part of our process, we have to do a notice of funding opportunity, a NOFO, that was released on September 9th. The applications were due on October 11th. We are now on the November 19th council meeting where we will allocate and finalize that funding, and then applications are due to the county on December 2nd. We did public notice through the local newspaper as well as the city website, and we did contact prior year applicants just to let them know that the funding was available. The City Council nonprofit funding objectives continue to be the same as in prior years. There was no change to those. Community food pantries, women's program, domestic violence prevention programs, and youth development programs are what the council has historically funded. That does not necessarily mean that one is better than the other, just that these are the priorities that the council has set forth. We do have staff review, as well as the consultants, our nonprofit applications. We go through those applications and we score them out of 100, and the scores will be up on the next slide. So these are the applicants. We received 12 applications. We're recommending funding to 9 of those. And so you'll see there the various different types of city council priorities that are recommended to be funding. This is kind of the middle of the road recommendation. We wanted to provide as much funding to the organizations as possible while still funding historic partners such as St. Martha's Food Pantry and the Assistance League of Temecula Valley. And so that's why there's kind of 2 tiers there. I do want to go through the agencies or the organizations that we did not recommend funding for. So the Foundation of Greater Opportunities and Learning had an incomplete application. They're only listed there because they did provide an application. Upwards and We Care is a for-profit organization and is more of an economic development. If we were to approve an economic development project, it would not come out of the public services pot of money. It would come out of the city's own remaining pot of money. And so that's why funding for this group was not recommended. And the last one, Veteran Supplemental Support Network, had an interesting program to put forth. However, the budgetary documentation that was provided was not as clear as it could have been, and it might have been a little bit more extensive as to what the goals were for the organization. That is to say, they thought they could do a lot with the money that we have. We don't have $66,600 to provide to the organization. And as such, we didn't recommend any funding go to that. With that, the remaining amount of money, the $375,050, we would recommend go to our ongoing pedestrian safety enhancements. As you know, the city is doing ADA improvements citywide, and so this is an opportunity to use the available dollars to fund a future project. And so that's what the recommendation would be for the remaining amount of the money for the city. So this is a breakdown of the fiscal impact. The budget would be appropriated as part of the next year's 25-26 budget. You can see there the nonprofits are the $86,550. The CIP is the $375,050, and then the administration costs for both the city and the county. So with that recommendation, our recommendation is to conduct the public hearing and receive community input on the allocation of the proposals, adopt the resolution, and appropriate the funding for the budget activities, and authorize the city manager to execute all related applications and agreements. We do have, similar to last year, a calculator which we will use if you want to reallocate funding on any project. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Isaac, for your presentation. I'm going to move it now to council questions. My iPad is down, so I'm going to move to any council questions. Any questions? It died. In the meantime, any council questions? If you do, speak up, please. Seeing none. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing at this time. Madam City Clerk, are there any public testimonies?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have Sharon Morris.
Sorry.
Okay.
Hello, City Council. Hello, Mayor Pro Tem Warren. And Mayor Stone. Voices for Children is the only non-profit in Riverside County with an MOU with the Riverside Superior Court to recruit, train, and support very special community volunteers to become court-appointed special advocates, or CASAs. These volunteers are assigned by one of our 5 juvenile court judges to advocate for one of the almost 6,000 children today who are living in foster care in Riverside County who have been abused or neglected. At a cost of $2,000 a year per CASA, we are currently serving 21 youth who are removed from their home from Murrieta, with 8 more today who are in our waiting pool, waiting to be matched to a CASA. I wanted to tell you just briefly about one of them. CASA Julie has been assigned to 16-year-old Martin for just shy of 3 years now. Julie has been so consistent, even when Martin gave her pushback and acted as if her visits were just not important to him. But she persevered. She and Martin have now built a reliable, trusting, and overall fun relationship with one another. She's never faltered or let him down. And most recently, in October of this year, Martin asked to move to live with his older brother in his placement, where he'll get more independence, he'll have the support and guidance of his sibling. Julie really was a bit on the fence about the move, as Martin had been in the same loving foster home since she was assigned to his case back in 2021. However, she heard Martin out, and she listened to his reasoning behind the move, and she agreed it would be best for him. The best part of the story, though, is that Martin called Julie to ask if she could be the one to take him to his new placement and be there for him that day as he transitioned to the new home. This meant so much to Julie. She was touched that he wanted her there so badly, So she called his social worker and they worked out the details. She picked up Martin and all of his belongings that morning and took him to his new foster home. And the social worker met them there to complete the paperwork. Julie helped him unload all of his belongings, set up his new room, and having Julie there on that particular day really meant so much to Martin, as it did to Julie. Julie's been a CASA with Voices for Children since 2019, and she served many children in that time. However, this relationship with Martin has really come so far, and it just goes to show you that with the consistency of a CASA, it can make a big difference in these children's lives. I want to thank each and every one of you for making a difference in the lives of children in foster care from Murrieta. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Christy Piatkowski.
Hello, Mayor Lori Stone and Council. My name's Christy, and I'm actually with Mission Hope, formerly Rancho Damacitas and Community Mission of Hope. I want to thank you for the support that you gave us last year. It is tremendous. I am so excited that we're working with the City of Murrieta to really support people with housing and food insecurities, because when you don't know where you're going to lay your head and you don't know where you're going to get your next meal, really nothing else matters. One of the families that you guys helped last year, just to kind of give you an example, is Ani. She is a citizen here of Murrieta. She works in Murrieta, and she had to leave a housing situation fairly quickly, but she is a single mom, and she had a single income, and so she did not qualify for some of the rentals that we have here. And when she didn't qualify for that, her and her 3 teenage sons had to couch surf. And that also meant that sometimes they were separated. And one was living with a friend here and another was living with a friend there. And her and another son were living with a different friend. So when she came to Mission Hope, the greatest thing that we did for her was give her an opportunity to bring her family back together under one roof. And that gave her a lot of confidence. It gave her a lot of peace. And now Ani is thriving. She's saving, she is working, we provide her support with food, of course the case management and the housing, and she's a great example for her 3 young boys, and a lot of that has to do with our support that we get from you guys, so thank you so much. To give you an idea of what Mission Hope does for Murrieta, last year we served 192 families, nearly 500 individuals, including children, veterans, and seniors. We served them with 6,700 different touches, whether it was a food box, housing, support, or resource. And so we would not be able to do that without your partnership. Thank you for the consideration for this year's funds. You guys make a huge difference in your community. I know you have a lot of big decisions. And just so that Kim knows, I really do appreciate Costco. So thank you so much.
Denise Lanier.
Good evening, Mayor Stone, council, staff. I'm Denise Lanier, and I'm a volunteer for the Assistance League of Temecula Valley. Assistance League Operation School Bell program is celebrating its 36th year of service to the communities we serve. Our program provides new school clothing to students that are deemed most at risk and meet the HUD income standards of very low or extremely low income. At-risk youth that we serve include foster and homeless students. Providing new school clothes boosts self-esteem and builds confidence. It also strengthens likelihood of doing better in school. We have truly appreciated the $17,780 grant award we received from the City of Murrieta for this current school year. During this school year, we've been able to provide new school clothes and shoes for 463 students in the Murrieta School District. Murrieta's grant award allowed us to dress 142 of those 463 students, the balance being funded from Assistance League thrift shop revenue. We project to dress a total of 1,800 students this next school year. An estimated 500 students, or 28% of that number, will reside in the city of Murrieta. We would like to thank the Murrieta City Council for your consideration again in granting CDBG funds to Assistance League of Temecula Valley. Thank you.
Raymond Orozco.
Good evening. My name is Raymond Orozco. I work for Oak Grove Center here in Murrieta, California. I'm here on behalf of Oak Grove as well as our CEO, Tammy Wilson, who unfortunately can't be here, but sends her regards. I know she didn't want to miss it. First off, I'd like to say thank you to the city of Murrieta as well as all of the council members for allowing us and supporting us through our rod run that we had in October. If any of you got to be out there, it was an awesome event. It was a safe event. Our kids loved it. We raised a lot of funds, and just year over year, we continue to appreciate your guys' support. So if you didn't get there next year. I'm sure the planning is already beginning. Finally, in terms of the CDBG grant, we just thank you for your consideration. This grant has helped us and will potentially help us to continue special enrichment projects at Oak Grove Center. We serve youth, for those of you who don't know, with severe trauma, neglect, emotional disturbances, pretty impactful youth. So whenever they get to experience something that they haven't before, such as like the STEAM program, robotics, have extra supplies like science supplies, extra computers, computer carts to keep our laptops safe and secure and charged up. Just really good opportunities for not only our Jack Weaver students who attend our school on campus, we also have foster youth who attend public school in Murrieta, and then finally our partial hospitalization patients who are kind of a higher acuity and attend school on our campus as well. So we just, are excited to, be up for the consideration for that. And we thank you again for your continued commitment and support to Oak Grove Center. Thank you.
Tammy Marin.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tammy Marine. I'm the CEO of Habitat for Humanity Inland Valley, and I'm here to thank you in advance for an opportunity to apply for CDBG funds to support our program called A Brush with Kindness, which is a home repair program for seniors. We've not applied to the city of Murrieta before, and so we're excited at the opportunity to serve here. In the state of California, we have 5.3 million seniors, and here in Murrieta, 1 in 5 are residents that are 60 or older, and many of the seniors face physical or financial challenges in maintaining their homes. So in an era where we're really concerned about housing, preserving the housing is just as important as building new housing, and allowing our seniors that are living longer to age in place is a critical component of what we do as well. So some of the seniors are being put in challenge situations by maintaining their homes or else getting code violations or living in unsafe living conditions. Our program provides essential services like minor painting, brush removal, yard cleanup, weed abatement. Those things are all code enforcement regulated, and seniors sometimes have a difficult time with that. So if funded with staff recommendation, we could serve 12 households here in Murrieta, allowing them again to age in place with dignity while preserving our community, our housing stock, and upgrading neighborhoods. Typically what we do is try to cluster home repairs in particular areas, so it not only helps individual families, but it also helps to upgrade neighborhoods as well. As an example of the need, we recently in 2024 got a grant from San Manuel Casino, and we did a neighborhood here in Murrieta, and we were flooded with applications. We could not serve the number of people that applied for the program. So the CDBG funds from Murrieta would be allowing us to expand our program and to serve more people. The other thing I just wanted to mention with CDBG funds is we know that they're very complicated funds. There's a high cost in administrating those funds, and I want you to know that our affiliate has done over 1,200 repairs right here in Southwest Riverside County, most of those with CDBG funds, so we're very efficient and used to working with the reporting and the requirements that are there with serving those kind of dollars in the community. So we're just grateful for your consideration. We look forward to being a stronger partner here in the city of Murrieta in the years and months to come. And I just thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Marshall Hamilton.
Hello, City Council. My name is Marshall Hamilton. I'm currently serving as the Interim Executive Director of the Safe Family Justice Centers. We just celebrated our 25th year here in the Valley. About every year, depending on which year we look at, right, or the way we look at the year, we serve about 4,000 people, a quarter of which reside here in the Valley. And then about 300 of those reside, are children here in Murrieta. And so our ask for CDBG funding is to support part of a specialist role in providing case management, safety planning, needs assessments to victims and their children who need assistance with either fleeing a household or creating safety measures within that household. The work that we do can sometimes be dangerous. A lot of us know somebody who's been impacted by violence or abuse in their household or have been impacted by that ourselves. And so what we ask of the City Council is to support our request to really support families here in Murrieta. We often see that we don't see domestic violence on the face of things. We don't see child abuse when we're looking at kids who are going to school. We work with a number of the partners also here asking for CDBG funds from the city to make sure the survivors are surrounded with resources, with connections. We use our agency as a resource guide, and we don't ask that survivors do that work. We make sure that our specialists are there serving alongside them, providing that case management, which is really navigating with them rather than navigating for them or requiring they navigate on their own. I like to tell people that we don't do things that you can find on Google. And so our specialists work really hard with victims to make sure that they have an individualized safety plan, an individualized solution to the violence in their household. They have education that goes along with that, education for their children, how that violence impacts their family, how that violence impacts the community. And so really we're asking for your assistance in securing funding to help Murrieta be a safer part of the Valley. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Marianne Tams.
Hello and good evening. And I wanted to say hello and thank you for having us, council people of Murrieta, Mayor Stone, who's been out to our farm, and also Kristen Crane. We wouldn't be here without Murrieta being kind and letting us have this space where we have people with special needs learning how to garden and how to harvest and water and co-work with us, with our volunteers. And we have a great group of volunteers. You can pass it out. You can give it to everybody. Okay, she's gonna do that at the end. We grow all this food, and the entire amount of food, which amounts this year so far, 4,600 pounds of produce has gone to various food banks, Murrieta Food Bank included, with, that's part of our process. It is 100% donations that we love that we're being considered for from CDBG. Goes right back into the farm. We have no paid, it's zero overhead, trust me, okay? It all goes back into the farm. And we're there because of, as I said, Murrieta letting us be there, and also because there's a need for it for special needs adults in day programs. And I don't know, you sometimes see folks hanging out, walking back and forth in Target or walking around the block. What we offer is not just that. We've got something for them to do. We greet them with a smile and happiness, and we invite them to join us as we grow this food for their neighbors. So they're a part of the whole cycle of life, just like everyone else. They're helping their community. And many, many folks live in Murrieta, several in Hemet, Temecula, but we also have the schools come, including Murrieta Vista, who came today. So it's just a good feeling to know you're part of the answer and part of the solution and not a problem. And we love having them, and I'm grateful to be there, and I'm grateful to have wonderful, wonderful volunteers, 2 of which are here. One of them is rehabilitating our grove incredibly. So we're just very grateful, and we're glad you were here tonight for us, and we're glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes public comments, Madam Mayor.
No, you don't. Okay. Can she just say hello
Yes,
really quick?
absolutely.
Really quick.
Hi, my name is Kateri. I'm 27. We're talking about a cultivating inclusions farm. My mom, Mary Ann, she from the farm from motivate, more crave, like special needs care right services, and we're gonna pass out papers for cultivate inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam City Clerk, is that all the speakers?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to bring it back to the dais for council deliberation. Councilmember Holliday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Bravo, I saw in your staff report that we gave money to Michelle's Place last year, and they're not on the list today. Did they not apply?
They did not submit an application for this year's cycle.
How many years have they applied in the past?
I believe last year was their first year.
Was their first?
CDBG funding is notoriously hard to deal with, and the amount of money that they receive, it might not be a good fit for them. I will reach out to them and try and continue to find out why they didn't do it.
That's not, just curious, obviously for future years. One of my concerns is that based on what we gave organizations last year, obviously staff's recommendation is to reduce that amount from the $10,000 that was given in 2023 for 3 of the organizations. And not that we have to give them the same amount every year. And there's certainly no shortage of needs and no lesser qualifications for any of these organizations. I'll do wonderful work in our community, and we certainly appreciate them all applying. But I do have a bit of concern about reducing that amount. I'm more talking to my colleagues now than you. Reducing the amount from what we've given last year, because organizations, especially some of the smaller ones like Cultivating Inclusion, tend to rely on those funds year after year, which, like I said, there's no guarantee they're going to get the same amount each year. But I would be concerned, CASA for sure, Oak Grove for sure. I would like to see them back up to the money that we gave last year. Then, of course, the hard challenge is where does it come from? So I'm open to suggestions. Do you know what the Boys and Girls Program is that they were applied for?
They provide scholarships to be a member of the Boys and Girls Club. I think last year it was for 10 students, it was the $10,000. This year is the same. They would offer 10 students memberships to the Boys and Girls Club.
Did we give them money last year?
We did give them money last year. I don't know if I don't recall hearing them speak, but I don't know if they're here present.
No, they didn't speak. I did not see them in the list for last year. No, they're not. Oh, yes, they are in the list. Sorry, I missed that.
Reading's hard.
Oh, so they don't. So they were on the list last year as well. Yeah, so it makes it challenging. Like I say, I'd like to see the funding up to the same level as 23. It's just a question of where it comes from. I'm open to suggestions. Well, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 that were at 10,000. Assistance League got 10,000 last year, and we were bumping them up to 15. I hate that St. Martha's is going down, but if we took 4 from Assistant League and spread it across those 4, then those funding wouldn't be cut, and Assistance League would still be getting more than last year. My thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Holliday. Councilmember DeForest.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is, last year, what did our Assistance League get? Did I not,
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
10?
I have the chart. They received $19,250 last year.
Yeah.
This current year.
And first and foremost, I'd just like to say every one of these organizations deserves and are truly worthy, and I appreciate you all here for speaking tonight. You deserve 100 times more, and I wish the pot was bigger and that we could fulfill everyone's needs. So, and I know Councilmember Holliday was trying to fill those gaps as well as the rest of my council. So, and St. Martha's, last year, Assistant City Manager Crane from afar.
They also received $19,250.
All right, well, that makes it very difficult.
Right. One of the challenges is, I'm sure Isaac mentioned while I was stepped outside, we're receiving less this year.
Right.
So we're starting with less to work with as well.
Yeah. Well, I would love to hear the insightful wisdom of the rest of my council.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember DeForest. Moving on to Councilmember LaBelle.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a thought, I do support Ron, Councilmember Holliday's comment about not wanting to reduce. The only thought I have is we have a staff funding recommendation amount. If that has to come from a certain pot, and the CDBG funds are very discretionary, does that look like building less sidewalks, or what does that do to the project that was touched with these funds as well?
I believe we're only allowed up to that 15% for public service.
So this is the max amount?
This is the max that we would be able to provide to any sort of organization. I mean, if you wanted to, you could literally just say, we're going to give it all to one, but this is the best opportunity that we were able to figure out as far as spreading the money around.
Okay, then I don't have a good idea.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember LaBelle. MPT Warren.
I do want to ask a question. You came up with these dollars amounts. I know starting with a total number, but did you base this on how good their application was, what their needs were? How did you come to these numbers?
So we did rank all of them based on the program, but that said, like we mentioned before, all of the programs are merited and they're wonderful benefits to the community. We looked at 2 options. We looked at what do we do to maximize everyone to what they're requesting or get them as close to what we're requesting. That kind of hurt the Assistance League and St. Martha's Food Pantry significantly, which is why we came to this solution, which was let's try and maximize as close to the requested amount, except for the Oak Grove Center, who's listed there. They asked for $25,000. Last year, I believe they received $10,000. And so it was get them as close to what was provided previous year, while still maximizing our historic partners who have had experience with CDBG, and we've had no problems with them in years past.
Boy, this is not easy, and they are all so deserving. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember LaBelle?
I have one more question, I guess. Is this I know we have the ranking system, but do we have percentages of the requests on this? Can we maybe get that on the side? Can we do that? Maybe Mr. Holliday can help us out with his. Not if it takes too long. I was just curious what that breakdown would look like for the level loading of those funds.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, what I can tell you is, so based off of the ones that are asking $10,000, right, that's about 80% of their ask. Obviously, the Assistance League is much less than that, as well as St. Martha's. Martha's is probably closer to, 75. And then Oak Grove Center, it's significantly less, but it's in line with what was provided last year, about $10,000.
I guess just because asking for more shouldn't necessarily get you more in an equation like that for a form of level loading, but I was just curious. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Lavelle. Councilmember DeForest.
So thank you, staff, for trying to come up with these. Sorry. Thank you, staff, for trying to come up with these tough decisions for us, and I greatly appreciate that. As I appreciate all of these organizations, I know that if we look at our priorities and what we establish those to be food, women's, domestic violence, and youth, and not in any order, but I think that it's very important that we continue to support St. Martha's Food Pantry. They're our primary source of food for people in need in our area, and I know they do such an amazing job. So I would like to leave them where they are. And Assistance League also doing great work with our youth and getting kids new clothes to go to school. I've witnessed them shopping in Kohl's several times, and it is amazing to see that organization and the volunteers, and they are very experienced with CBD. So I would say I like what you've done, and as hard as it is, and knowing that they're all deserving, I think that I would like to approve it as it is. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember DeForest. Any other comments? Okay. First, I want to say thank you so much. I know this is a very difficult task, and every single one of these nonprofits, government cannot do it all, as you know, and we need the support of these nonprofits to help the underserved, anywhere from clothing to care to farming, children that are at risk, domestic violence. I love the program Habitat is giving back to our seniors, which is very, very important. And they're all very deserving. And again, it's really sad that the amount of money giving out this year is less because we need more. So I also think that we should go with the recommendation of staff as well. So with that, I'm going to put the motion or second. So we have a motion by Councilmember Lavelle, second by me. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
And by the way, I did not close the public hearing. I do close the public hearing. All right, moving on to discussion item fiscal year 2024-2025 first quarter financial status report. Thank you. Thank you, financial team. Mr. Carcamo, thank you. Whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council members. Jennifer Terry, Finance Manager. Also here is Javier Carcamo, our Director of Finance, and Tanner Benson, our Financial Analyst. Together, we will present the fiscal year 25 first quarter budget update. An overview of our presentation tonight. This is the second year of our biannual budget, biannual or two-year budget. Best management practice includes providing quarterly updates to the City Council, making necessary changes to the budget based on our economy and adapting to the city's budgetary business needs. I'll provide a summary of the prior actions taken so far this fiscal year. This report will provide the fiscal year first quarter budget update, which covers the period between July 1st through September 30. We'll provide an overview of the citywide budget and the city's five major funds, which consist of the general fund, Measure T, the fire district, the community services district, or CSD, and library fund. Javier will provide an overview of the unassigned fund balances for the 5 major funds, as well as our reserve balances and the proposed changes in the schedule of authorized positions. And then he will close the presentation with the future budget updates and recommended actions for this agenda report. At the August 20th City Council meeting, we adjusted revenues in line with historical collections, increasing interest earnings and reducing sales tax and transient occupancy, or TOT taxes, along with charges for services. Personnel budgets were adjusted to account for approved labor agreements, and departments identified budgetary savings that we implemented. Overtime was reduced by 10% citywide, and new positions that were identified or that were approved to come online for fiscal year 25 were removed from the budget. Another budget monitoring measure that was implemented was that any new position or any position that became vacant requires evaluation and approval by the city manager to determine that the position is essential prior to starting a recruitment. This slide represents the citywide or total budget. It includes, it combines more than 100 individual funds, all of which have specific purposes and must be accounted for separately. The general fund in Measure T funds the police department, some of the fire department, public works, planning, building and safety, code enforcement, and government services such as the city manager's office, city clerk, finance, etc. Special revenue funds are included in our citywide, as part of our citywide budget, which include Murrieta Fire and Rescue, Community Services District, that also include the lettered zones, the lighting and landscape districts, the library fund, grant funds, and development impact fees, impact funds, and gas taxes for capital improvement projects. We also have other fund types, but we can discuss those another time. All of these funds make up our total budget of $172.7 million. The citywide budget is being provided for transparency purposes. However, we will focus on our 5 major funds since those provide the funding for the majority of our services to our residents. Before I begin with the general fund, I would like to point out that we have a $21,000 discrepancy between the general fund summary table in attachment 1 of the agenda report and the table in this presentation. We realized that one account was not included in the attachment, but we were able to correct it for the presentation. This slide is for our general fund, which is our main fund that we use to provide city services. You'll see several revenue accounts without any collections for the first quarter. I wanted to point out that this is perfectly normal and we aren't missing anything. Any revenue account associated with property taxes, special taxes, or special assessments aren't received until January and May for taxes collected in December and April. Likewise, franchise taxes are collected on a quarterly basis, so we won't have any revenue collected for those either. You'll see the same thing in the fire district, the CSD, and library. The August 20th action estimated that we would end the year using $7.9 million in unassigned fund balance. And you'll see that there in the middle of the screen with the red circle. The proposed budget adjustments reduced that budgetary gap by 44%. As noted, the red circles in the middle of the screen or the slide show that revenue is currently at $69.5 million, with the proposed increase in revenue of $2.4 million, bringing revenues to $71.9 million. We're proposing to increase property taxes and property tax in lieu of by a combined $1.6 million. We're proposing to adjust the fiscal year 24 ending numbers by 2%. And we're also proposing to adjust interest earnings by $620,000. There are similar increases to other funds for adjusting interest earnings that affect other funds. We have decreases to expenditures in total by $1,020,479. The most significant is decreasing personnel costs by $1,100,000. We're implementing a vacancy factor citywide. We looked at how much each department or fund ended last year with their personnel costs. And we looked to see how much we estimated we could safely reduce their budgets by, so that we could close the budgetary gap. For the general fund, we're proposing $1.1 million. You'll see similar reductions in other funds, except for Measure T and library. Those two funds used their budgets. They expended their budgets fully. The increase in revenue and decrease in expenditures had a positive impact on the budget deficit, reducing it by $3.4 million, and the use of unassigned fund balance is down to $4.4 million. Our presentation tonight is slightly out of order. Tanner will continue with fire, CSD, and library, and then I'll go over the combined impact on the adjustments to from those districts, what their impact is on Measure T.
Thank you, Jennifer. First, I will be discussing our fire department and the impactful proposed changes to their budget, starting with revenue. The first line highlighted on the fire district's table will show our proposed increase to property tax revenue, increasing by just over $1 million. This is to account for the 2% tax increase that Jennifer mentioned earlier. We are proposing to reduce the budget for the operating transfers in for the fire department from Measure T by $1.2 million. If you look at the top red circle on the screen, you will see that our budget for total revenues is $25.4 million, and the use of unassigned fund balance is being proposed to be $867,000, which will bring our budget for total revenue sources to $26.3 million. Javier will discuss the unassigned fund balance effects more in depth in future slides. For the expenditure side, we are proposing an implementation of a vacancy factor, as mentioned earlier, which will result in $255,000 of budgetary savings. Additionally, we are proposing an increase to fire's operations and maintenance budget by $150,000 for the American Medical Response, or AMR, enhancement costs. The total proposed budgets for the expenditure side of fire will bring it to $26.3 million. This will create a balanced budget in the fire fund. Next, I will be discussing our Community Service District, or CSD. The only major budgetary change in the revenues for CSD is the reduction in operating transfers from Measure T and the proposed changes to the proposed uses of unassigned fund balance. We are proposing to reduce the operating transfer from Measure T by $360,000, and we are proposing to use the $435,000 of unassigned fund balance for CSD. The only proposed change on the expenditure side is the implementation of the vacancy factor, causing a budgetary savings of $240,000. The total proposed changes to revenues and expenditures will have a net impact of a balanced budget. Finally, for my part, the library, I'll be going over the library fund. The library fund is only going to see proposed changes to the revenue side. As Jennifer mentioned earlier, that we are unable to implement the vacancy factor for this fund. We are proposing an increase to property tax revenue by the 2%, by the same base 2% as for general fund and the fire district, which will be a total of $180,000. And we are proposing to decrease the operating transfer from Measure T to the library fund by $614,000. Additionally, we are proposing to use the unassigned fund balance of $517,000 for library. With the various proposed changes to the library's revenue budget and the use of unassigned fund balance, we will be at a balanced budget for the library fund. I would now like to reintroduce Jennifer Terry to continue on to the Measure T proposed changes and update.
Finally, for Measure T, the changes that Tanner mentioned for fire, CSD, and library do have an impact on Measure T because of the reductions in the operating transfers. That is the only item that we are proposing to change for Measure T. The revenues aren't changing. They don't have the reduction for a vacancy factor. So transfers out are reducing for Measure T by $2.1 million, which is thereby contributing an additional $2.1 million to unassigned fund balance for Measure T. I'll now turn the presentation over to Javier. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. So during the next few slides, I will be sharing with you more about the unassigned fund balance as well as the city's reserve. So I'll start off with the unassigned fund balance. Historically, our quarterly budget reports have included estimates of the general fund and Measure T fund balances. These balances are categorized into several subcategories. We have non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. Among these categories, the unassigned fund balance represent financial resources that are available for use in upcoming budget years. Estimating fund balance or unassigned fund balance prior to the end of the fiscal year can be somewhat complex to the various factors that are impacted. For instance, in operating surplus, that is when final revenues exceed expenditures will increase fund balance or unassigned fund balance. When there is a operating deficit, so this is when final revenues fall short of expenditures, that will reduce unassigned fund balance. When staff propose contributions to the city's operating and sustainability reserve, unassigned fund balance goes down, but the reserve balances goes up. And lastly, when there are change to any of the other three categories due to, for instance, budget carryovers or budget modifications to the capital improvement plan budget, that also impact unassigned fund balance. So the most optimal time to report the unassigned fund balance is during the year-end budget report, also known as the fourth quarter budget report. By this time, or at that point in time, the reconciliation of the unassigned fund balance and the audit process will be substantially completed. In all other quarterly budget reports, the unassigned fund balance presented or reported to you at that time, it's always an estimate. So for fiscal year 2023-24, the unassigned fund balance are approximately $34.4 million for the general fund and $14.4 million for Measure T. The unassigned fund balance, particularly for Measure T, let me go back here, is higher than what we previously estimated to the operating surplus experienced during the fiscal year. The second reason for a higher unassigned fund balance is that historically we have allocated unassigned fund balance towards the capital improvement plan budget. However, the unassigned fund balance forecast that we presented in prior years excluded the changes in the capital improvement plan budget. This oversight has resulted in an upward retroactive adjustment of the beginning of unassigned fund balance. That very specific table will be, this one will be sharing with you more in details during the fiscal year 23-24 year-end report, and that is scheduled to be on the next City Council meeting, which is December 3rd. So this table summarizes, the table on the top summarizes the fiscal year 23-24. On the far right, you see the unassigned fund balance for the general fund, Measure T, Fire District, CSD, and Library. So as I share with you, 34.4 for the general fund and 14.4 for the Measure T. As we share with you during the previous slides, there is a slight unassigned fund balance for the Fire District, CSD, and Library, which we're utilizing as part of the fiscal year 24-25 to make the each of those funds whole or balanced during fiscal year 24-25. So we carry those balances out into the beginning of fiscal year 24-25, and then we have all of the financial activities proposed for the fiscal year based on the amended budget. And with that, the estimated, again, at this point, it's an estimated ending unassigned fund balance for the general fund will be $27.1 million for the general fund and $17.1 million for Measure T. And again, the Fire District, CSD, and Library will end up with a zero fund balance. So moving on from unassigned fund balance and now speaking about reserves, historically, we have provided this table that summarize or identify all of the reserves. Primarily, this is the operating reserves As of fiscal year 2024-25, the operating reserve is at 36.6. We have established a reserve, operating reserve for each of those funds. Primarily, our goal is to maintain those reserves at 30%. Our policy calls for 25, but historically, we have maintained those at around 30%. And we are slightly off from that unofficial mark. In addition to the operating reserves, we also have sustainability reserve. While there are no specific required balances, it is recommended that these reserves be adequately funded to meet the city's schedules for equipment replacement, facilities repairs, and future pension costs. This ensures that sufficient funding in these reserves are essential to maintain the city's long-term financial health and operational efficiency. I'm going to move on to speak to you about the city's schedule of authorized positions. We regularly present this schedule to you to reflect any additions for positions and or organizational structure update. The proposed schedule includes an update to the classification of 2 full-time positions in the Human Resources Department with no impact to the total number of authorized positions. Additionally, this update introduced a temporary fire investigator captain position and as well as a fire battalion chief position within the Murrieta Fire and Rescue. These roles are essential for maintaining operational leadership in those departments and functions. The fire investigator position will be funded by a grant that we recently received for a duration of 2 years. As a result of these updates and the schedule of authorized positions will reflect a net increase of 2 FTEs, bringing the total citywide count to 468. The city staff and our department directors are committed to ensure that we promptly recruit for any of the authorized positions become vacant to ensure that we minimize any service disruptions to the public. As far as upcoming budget updates and actions, we're going to be working during the next 6 months primarily to bring updates for the fiscal year 24-25. So as I share with you, next council meeting, we're going to bring the 23-24 year-end report. Around February of 2025, we'll bring a report for the mid-year that is halfway through the point in regards to our budget. We'll bring in analysis at that point and where we at with both revenues and expenditures. In May 2025, we're gonna prepare the third quarter budget update. And lastly, to complete the full cycle, December of next year, we'll be bringing forward the fourth quarter year-end report. At the same time, staff will be really busy during this time, and we're gonna kick off the biannual budget development process for the next 2 fiscal years. So starting likely in the next few weeks, we're gonna start the process for the budget development. For the biannual, we'll plan to bring you forward a budget workshop, hopefully late April, early May, for council and for staff to receive feedback at that point in time. And our goal is to bring forward a proposed budget for you to consideration, likely the first meeting in June. With that, the recommended actions for tonight's report is to accept the report, adjust the fiscal year 2024-25 operating budget as defined in the fiscal year 24-25 first quarter proposed budget amendments, and approve the updated schedule of authorized position list. And with that, that concludes our presentation, and we're available here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Javier, Tanner, and Jennifer, for a great presentation. I see that Councilmember DeForest is in the queue.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you so much for a wonderful report with better news than expected, so thank you. I have a couple questions. One being that in our unassigned fund balance, that number seemed to rise. Was that some one-time funds or from our last budget update to now?
Yes, primarily for the Measure T, as I shared, the unassigned fund balance increased from what we estimated during the last few quarters. Primarily, and again, we're going to go over the fiscal year 23-24 year-end report and more in details, but we had a significant increase in revenues in our interest earnings. Our investments, or short-term investments, have yielded significant revenue in that area. There is also a significant accounting transaction, primarily with the recognition of gains and losses and market value of investments. So that is also recorded during the fiscal year 23-24. With that, as well as with some of the efforts we made during the last fiscal year to maintain our expenses controlled, we ended up with an operating surplus during the fiscal year 23-24. I also spoke about the one-time adjustment primarily because of an oversight in our end with the changes in capital improvement plan budget. While we recognize that budget on an annual basis, and we always presented that in this table, we failed to recognize the change year over year on that budget. So therefore, we made an upward adjustment for the beginning balance during fiscal year 23-24.
Thank you. And one other question. When you're talking about like library, fire, CFD, et cetera, on all of those, are you adding all of the transfers from the unassigned fund balance to get up to the 4.4 million of unassigned fund balance used? Is that how you're getting to that 4.4 number?
So the 4.4, the projected use of unassigned fund balance of 4.4, that's primarily for the general fund.
Okay, so each fund is separate then, and it's not added up?
That's correct.
Okay.
So the transfers that we have budgeted to fire district, CSD, and library, the source of the transfer in is from Measure T.
Measure T, then. Okay, thank you so much. I just wanted clarity on that. I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
MPT Warren.
Thank you, Mayor. Javier, I noticed when we were going through and you had a fire investigator and another position, you had temporary next to one, and you had a grant for 2 years. What happens when that grant runs out, or what is the temporary status timeframe on that employee?
Great question. Thank you for that. So we expect, and our chief of police is here, and maybe I'll just pass it on to him.
Oh, sorry, Chief. I didn't mean to make you get up.
Thank you for the question. So one position, the fire investigator, that is funded by a grant from the federal government, which we actually approved last council meeting. That position will be in place for 2 years. We will look to see if we can handle it in the budget going forward. So we will look at that. But if we don't, we have captain retirements that will happen in that 2 years. And we have several that we know will be coming. And at the point where if it's not approved in the budget, we will be able to roll that position back in based on one of the retirements that we have coming in the future.
Great, thank you. I knew you'd have a plan. I just was curious what it was.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That concludes my questions.
Thank you, MPT Warren. Councilmember Holliday.
Yeah, team, great job on presenting this. The format and everything you presented is very easily understandable. And so I appreciate all you did. I just wanted to, I don't really have questions. I just wanted to highlight a couple things. In the 24-25 fiscal year, we added 1.46 million to our reserves. Correct? On the slide you have in front of you? Or we take it from reserves? We added it to reserves. No, go back up to the one you had. Right there on the bottom right. Transfers to reserves. Do we pull that from reserves or to reserves?
Excuse me. That is a transfer to reserve.
To reserve. So we increased our reserve balance, which is where some of those, technically, some of those unassigned fund balances went, of the 4.4. 833,000 from the general fund.
It's part of it. Is that correct? Yes.
Right. So if we hadn't transferred reserve, those 4.4 in the general fund would be less.
Correct.
Of unassigned fund balance. So it's trying to get to that, to close to that 30%. We use some unassigned fund balance. And between the unassigned fund balance and the rainy day fund, if you will, but the reserves, and our sustainability reserves, we've got how much in that total? It's got to be 120 million?
All combined. So yeah, so if we look at general fund and Measure T here, we have about 48, 36 here, and 43. So yeah, that's approximately about 120.
Yeah. So city's doing very well financially is my point.
Absolutely. In terms to establishing a long-term, sustainable condition, yes, we are. And our goal is really right now is on the short-term basis with the operating budget, but we have reserves to, in case of any economic downturn, we can utilize those to maintain the level of services that we currently have. And as you know, the unassigned fund balance, the recommended use of that is for one-time monies as opposed to recurring expenses.
And the sustainability reserves, I also wanted to highlight that those are, instead of when a fire truck exceeds its useful life and we need a new fire truck that is, I don't know what, Chief, we're up to $1.5 million now for a new fire truck? Yeah, so $1.5 million for a new fire truck. Instead of, oh, where do we get $1.5 million from? We're setting aside money every month or every quarter towards those future purchases, correct?
We are setting the reserves based on any unassigned fund balance that is available at year end. However, for the upcoming biannual budget, we will be establishing a replacement program so that we establish a budget on an annual basis moving forward to continuously add to the reserve balances.
Yeah. And like I said, I saw that in your other slide, that we already have some of that in place, and we're going to be making that more robust going forward, is what you're saying.
Yes, that is correct. And primarily with the fire fleet, that $3.8 million, that is part of that is to pay for a Type 1, which I believe has been ordered, and as well as the tiller truck.
Correct. Great job. Glad to hear the city's doing well financially.
Can you go to the slide where the city manager has the discretionary of filling a position? So each department had identified 10% budgetary savings, and overtime was reduced by 10%. Vacant positions require approval by the city manager prior to recruitment. And then you have a slide that has authorized positions. And in your opinion, can you go to that slide, that those are critical positions, correct?
Right here. So the 468, those are all the positions that are authorized to be filled and budgeted during the year. When any of those positions become vacant, the effort is to fill those positions, of course, with the city manager's approval, based on determination if that position can be deferred temporarily to help with the budget, or if it's not, if it's very essential positions and it will have a significant disruption in services, to fill those positions as quickly as possible, as practical.
Right. So to my right here, under human resources and obviously fire, these are critical positions that need to be filled?
No, these are changes to the schedule of authorized positions. So in the terms of the HR risk, these were title reclassifications. There was no impact. There was no positions being added. It was more of a restructure of those titles. In the case of the fire captain and fire battalion chief, those positions are temporarily added to maintain leadership at those levels, primarily with to ensure that there is support in those at that level.
Okay. Colleagues, I have a suggestion. And while the city manager has discretionary of hiring, I think it's really important, being that we have a new city manager coming on board, that he evaluates every single department and comes back to us in our goal session meeting in January to discuss what departments are heavy, what departments are light, what departments are crucial that we fill immediately, except for right now, public safety. When it comes to public safety, that is on the table. Everything else, I believe, that should be off the table until he's able to analyze every single department. That's just my opinion for right now. I think it's important that he dives into each department and comes back with a recommendation for our goal session meeting. Any comments, suggestions?
I wanted to point something out, if I could.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. It's my understanding also that these positions that may be filled in time, while it is vacant, we have a savings at that point, and it can take up to 6 months for some of these vacancies to be filled if they're crucial. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And with that 6-month period, there is a savings that would go back into the budget because we're not paying those salary dollars out.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood that. Okay, thank you. Would it be something that, would it be something that he would, how would he categorize, how would you have him categorize? Just take public safety?
That would be up to him as the city manager to identify, again, what departments are heavy, what departments are light, navigating, moving people around, coming back with a suggestion of what departments are in need of crucial, more support. And I don't know if that has been done since I've been elected, but again, we have a new captain, and I think it's really important for him to dive in and see what's going on within our city.
But would that be his responsibility are you looking for approval or just wanting to see the numbers?
I would like to see the numbers.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're not.
And I would like to hear his recommendation on what he believes the direction as far as, let's just use CSD for an example. I know that I've heard that they may be understaffed.
Mm-hmm.
Engineering, David Chantarantu's department needs additional staffing, and maybe that we're heavy on other departments where he can analyze and come back and share with us what he believes in the direction we need to support these departments.
I understand. I just didn't understand what you're asking. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that.
I appreciate the question. Councilmember DeForest.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to pivot and ask the question directly to our new current city manager. as of tonight, almost. So I don't know if you're superhuman, but by January, that would be quite a lot to get done. So if you could pivot and answer that question.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll just offer a couple of thoughts. Number one, I share the interest of reviewing the organization to try to figure out if we're best aligned with the expectation for service demand. And mostly that would probably be the analysis. Rather than kind of where we're lean or heavy, it's more about where do we want to put emphasis on level of service and where maybe can we afford to forego some of those levels of service in the interest of other priorities. I do think it'd probably need a little more time to do that thoroughly. It's a great exercise for a budget process to kind of get some of that alignment. I would also only add that we've gone through a couple rounds of reducing costs and freezing positions. So those really were the initial efforts to identify those areas that we could forego some staffing without a major sacrifice to service. So those are in place now. This additional exercise, which requires approval from the city manager even to fill a vacant position, is to make sure we don't have yet another opportunity on top of those already identified in the 10% cuts and the frozen positions to also be creative. So there's quite a few layers of that. And at this point, we've probably trimmed most of if there was any fat, and there probably really wasn't fat, but you know, we've gotten the low-hanging fruit. So I do think a more thorough review that might lead to other changes might take a little more time, could be a perfect exercise for the budget if it were the pleasure of council to wait that long and make sure that that review was collaborative with our departments and kind of looked carefully at what we need to accomplish. And by the way, could then be after some of our goal setting, which would also enable council to give additional clear direction on where we want to put emphasis, and we could go and figure out how to do that for you.
Perfect. Councilmember Lavelle.
I was just going to add, and Justin jumped in for a great explanation, but I assume we have a staffing plan with service expectations that is consistently monitored throughout each department in different ways, I would assume, based off the need. Also, the language of the discretion, I was going to mention that, but thank you, Justin, for clarifying that and how that works. But that's all.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Any other questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, Madam City Clerk, are there any public comments regarding this item?
Seeing none, Madam Mayor.
Fantastic. We'll bring it back. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, call for a motion in a second. I see we have a motion by Councilmember Holliday and a second by Councilmember DeForest. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Thank you again for your report. Moving on to discussion item 20, construction contract for the 2023 citywide slurry seal project, CIP number 13048. While you're making your way, I just want to let you know how much I love Murrieta Hot Springs Road right now. It is amazing. It is smooth. It's fantastic, by the way.
Very orchestrated well.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, Jeff Hitch, city engineer, here with Garrett Strang, assistant engineer, who's going to provide you with a presentation tonight on a construction contract award for our annual or biannual citywide slurry seal project. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Strang.
Thank you, Mr. Hitch. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of City Council. Again, my name is Garrett Strang. I'm an assistant engineer here with the city, and it's my pleasure to give you a brief presentation on the 2023 citywide slurry seal project and the construction contract award for CIP 13048. So to give you a brief background on what this project is, so the slurry seal project is a biannual project which uses a data-driven approach to analyze and assess the city's existing road conditions based on the Pavement Management Program, or PMP, update, and the Pavement Conditioning Index scores, or PCI. And based on these PCI scores, we analyze each road and assign a specific slurry seal treatment. So the limits of work on this project are approximately 25% of all local and residential roads, which equate to 58 centerline miles and 11.2
million square feet of roadway to be resurfaced. Typical improvements on a project like this are crack filling, micro milling at curb ramps, manhole adjustments, obviously the slurry seal of various types, and finally signing and striping of roads that we've been covering up. And so you may ask yourself, what is a slurry seal? So a slurry seal can be defined as a mixture of liquid asphalt emulsion combined with the sand or small gravel. It's applied to the existing asphalt pavement to preserve and extend its life. So as you'll see on my exhibit, there's a type 1, a type 2, and a type 3 slurry seal. Basically, the difference between the three is a type 1 is a much more finer, almost like sand-like consistency. And as you move up to a type 3, it becomes a lot more coarse and granular. So a bigger size aggregate. And each different size is obviously a better strength. So the city staff determines the type of slurry seal to be used on each road based on the PCI score from the city's most recent PMP update. And lastly, you may ask, what's the difference between a slurry seal and an asphalt overlay? So obviously, like on Murrieta Hot Springs Road, the asphalt overlay, it's a much more robust method of rehabilitation. But the thing is, with a project like that, something like Murrieta Hot Springs Road, that was about a $2 million project, and we got about a mile stretch of road to be improved. Versus a project like this, we have 58 centerline miles, and it's a much more cost-effective way to treat our lower traffic volume roads. So we just extend our tax dollars that much more by doing this on our less used roads versus Murrieta Hot Springs, where we would do a traditional overlay. So these are the limits of work. So as I mentioned, it's approximately 25% of all local and residential. So basically anything that's non-arterial within the city. So that equates to 58 centerline miles, 11.2 million square feet. And I will add that there are some lower volume secondary collector and major roads that we did add, such as Hunter Road, Date Street, and Nighthawk and Magnolia. So there's some little one-offs there that we may add that we don't want to do a traditional overlay on, and we can, again, extend our tax dollars by doing a slurry seal instead. Now moving on to funding source and fiscal impact. So CIP 13048 is funded by Measure A and gas tax. In addition to this, staff recommends transferring the balance of Measure A and gas tax from our previous slurry seal project, which was CIP 8137, for a combined amount of about $1.6 million. So with that being said, once we successfully transfer those available funds from the previous slurry seal project, we will be able to award this contract. Moving on to the bid results. So bids were open on September 19th. We received a total of 4 bids, which ranged between $2.9 million and $4.1 million. The lowest responsible contractor was Roy Allen Slurry Seal, Inc., and they submitted their bid for $2.9 million. Their bid was found to be consistent with the current market value, and no bid protests were received. And in conclusion, staff's recommendation is to award the construction contract for the 2023 citywide slurry seal project, capital improvement plan number 13048, to the lowest responsible bidder, Roy Allen Slurry Seal, Inc., in the amount of $2.9 million plus a 15% contingency for a total amount of $3.3 million. In addition to authorizing the city engineer to approve construction contract change orders in an amount not to exceed 15%. And as I mentioned, the fiscal impact, we also are requesting to amend the fiscal year 2024-25 CIP budget and transfer the balance of available Measure A and gas tax funds from CIP 8137 into CIP 13048 for a combined amount of $1.6 million. And lastly, we are requesting the mayor authorize and direct the mayor to execute the contract on behalf of the city. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, Mr. Hitch and I are available.
Okay, MPT Warren?
Thank you, Mayor. The contract that you awarded this time, is it the same company that did the last round of slurry seals?
So it's actually not. So the previous contractor that did the project back in 2021, this project.
Yes.
That was American Asphalt South. They came in second place this time.
Okay, all right. And my next question is, and I had brought this up in a discussion with staff. I know a lot of communities or a lot of neighborhoods are half done or a quarter done. And a lot of the residents are saying, when is this rest of this community or neighborhood going to be finished? Can we put a schedule on the website so people know when they're due up for this to be finished in their individual neighborhoods?
Yeah, absolutely. So, so this project and this this system that we're trying to set up is, so every single street within the city of Murrieta should be slurry sealed every 8 years. So we're on a 2-year cycle, as I mentioned, a biannual. So if we go back to 2019, this was our project map. It actually consisted of 50% of all city, local, and residential streets, because it was a bit of a catch-up project. We hadn't done a slurry seal since 2014 prior to this.
Right.
So this project caught us up. We did 50%. Then 2021, we did another 25%. And then 2023, this project, we're going to do the last 25%. So based on this, we have GIS data of the past 3 projects, including this one. So yeah, we can provide that and make it available on the slurry seal port on the city website.
I think that would be very valuable information to our residents. Thank you so much. Appreciate your presentation. That concludes.
Thank you so much. Seeing no other questions in the queue, Madam City Clerk, are there any public comments regarding this item?
Seeing none.
Okay, I'll bring it back for any discussion. Any discussion? Seeing none. I have a motion from MPT Warren, a second from Councilmember Lavelle. Please vote. Thank you very much.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Moving on to the next discussion item, approval of the exchange of a portion of city-owned property, APN 963-060-086, for real property owned by a third party, APN 963-060-065, and appropriations for the development of a Fire Station 6 to serve the community. Hello, staff.
Well, thank you, Mayor. That concludes our presentation.
Okay, please vote.
Right. So, Mayor Stone, Mayor Pro Tem Warren, and City Council members, I'm here with the non-axe-wielding Fire Chief Malloy tonight to discuss this land exchange for the purchase of the property for future Fire Station 6. And just to run through it really quickly, this is a Tier 1 CIP project, which means your council has directed staff to make this a top priority, which is why we used expedited government speed to get you here within the same calendar year. Shown here is a letter from HCD, which came to us with absolutely no brain damage, allowing us to make this transaction.
Good.
And furthermore, we're going to show you the properties. So in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the subject property. That's the property the city currently owns. And that property is a sliver that we find unusable. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see the property that we are looking to acquire. Now, the property that you see here does not show the street in front of it, Clinton Keith Road, which is now there, making it much more useful to put a fire station. So we're looking to do a land swap with the city property valued at $500,000 and the property we're acquiring at $1.5 million. Now, there's $1 million delta there, which the city is going to pay. I'd like to point out that there was a DA agreement for this property in the past that had a $1 million amount. So this is a reallocation of those funds. And for that, I'm going to hand it over to the fire chief to go through why we want to do this.
I'll take that. Thank you, Council. We've spoken about Station 6 before and its importance, and I want to share this evening why we still feel it's important to serve the residents. We understand that this is a lot of money to invest in something like a fire station and then the building that we would have to do on top of the property value. And we want to be responsible with the citizens' money, so we're going to demonstrate the need for you this evening. So if we look at the call volume that goes on in the city of Murrieta, every time we run a call, it shows up as a little dot. The more dots we have, the more red it gets on the map, and this shows you where we have call volume in our city. We serve that right now by 5 fire stations, and they're going to slowly appear on the map for you. And what you will notice is that these fire stations are where the red is. We put our fire stations where we have service demands. There's one area, though, if you look at that map, that does not exactly, nope, not that one, sorry, the next one, that we have an area where we're not providing that service as quickly as we can in some other areas, and that's on the east side of the city Hunter Road areas where we have a deficiency in our services in that area. When we look at this, and this should say, this is the actual calls in that area over a 1-year period of time. Green dots are good, that's it's about 5 minutes, and this is 5 minutes of travel time. And then any yellow dot is over 5 minutes. We don't like yellow dots when they show up. It's a longer response to us. and a red dot is over 8 minutes. As we've talked this evening about traffic, we understand that traffic has a major impact on how we run calls in the city. We looked at our response time data. NFPA 1710, which is the gold standard of response time for fire departments, shows that a response time of 4 minutes is the ideal standard for response time in an incorporated city such as us. Our city of Murrieta Standards of Cover has adopted a response time on scene within 6 minutes. That's not travel time. That is from the time somebody calls 911 till the dispatcher processes the call. Our tones go off in the fire station. We roll up the door, get on the fire engine, pull out, close down the door, then travel, set the air brakes, and walk into the person's home. That should be 6 minutes by our standard. When we look at the area on the Upper East Side of the city, on a Sunday morning at 7 a.m., it takes 6 minutes to travel that, 6 minutes to drive that. Code 3 doesn't make us go any faster in a fire engine that weighs a couple of tons. It just allows us to get around traffic a little bit more quickly than we would if we had to sit in all of the lights. That's 6 minutes on a Sunday morning. But I have a news flash for everybody. That's not when we run calls. If we look at, and you don't have to know how this works, but what this tells us is we track every call every time of day, every day of the week. We get busy in the middle of the day and towards the evening hours, which is when our city is busy and when traffic is busy. When you add that traffic to this response time data, what you'll see is that 6 minutes just turned into 10 minutes when we do it at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. This is about when everyone's heading out to pick up their kids in our city. So our call response time, this is travel time, increases greatly. Now what happens if this station's on a call? We have to go to our next closest station. That's 11 minutes on a Sunday morning. I didn't do this, for every single day, but best circumstances, our next closest station gets that area in 11 minutes. And then I carried this on to just keep showing you all of our other stations because we do have to look at what does that second call look like? What does it look like when our next closest engine has to get to the area? We're not getting there any closer, and you can see it's up to 17 minutes away from our other fire stations. So we look at our response time data, and this is what you have in the city is our response data. The green is under 6 minutes of travel time. This is our current map right now. You'll see little pockets of red in the middle of the city. Some of those are dirt roads that we can't get to off the Los Alamos area that we slow down because of the response time on a dirt road. The speed limit slows us down. But you notice on the upper right-hand corner of the city, we have a big piece of yellow. And the white is areas without roads. So we don't get travel times into those areas. But what you see is yellow. We in the service industry, that what we see is an area we can't get to our residents. What our residents see is them after dialing 911 saying, where are they, where are they? And our firefighters see this as we can't get there fast enough, and they have a sinking pit in your stomach when you have a call in that area that needs somebody to be there immediately. So this is an area where if we add Station 6 at the lot that we've identified, this is what the map looks like. Our map goes green. Not only does our map go green, but the unincorporated areas just outside of our city also go green. So with this purchase of this property, it allows us to start the planning process for what Station 6 would look like. This is how it would serve the residents of our city with our current street layers that we have in place. So with that, we're going to recommend that council approves and authorizes the city manager to execute and exchange the agreement and joint escrow instructions, and that you appropriate the sum of $1 million in payment to the private owner pursuant to the exchange agreement and amend the fiscal year 24-25 operating and capital improvement plan budgets as specified in the fiscal impact statement. And there it is on that slide.
There you go, so, just in case.
I didn't even have to put on my glasses if I would have read it there. Thank you, council. I hope you've seen that this is a step that we really feel is necessary for the fire department. And I can mention that this parcel that we're purchasing, it's over 2 acres. It's more area than we need for just a fire station. We have the ability to add more public safety to that station if we so desire that for whatever PD's needs on that side are as well.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Scott. Okay, we'll take some questions from council. I see MPT Warren is in the queue.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, Chief, our very first meeting was about Station 6 with you and me. This has been a big, huge effort on my part to champion this station. Being out in that area, I see the fire trucks and the patrols struggling to get to our residents to save lives and property. I think this is a very important step to making this a better and safer community. And I so wholeheartedly think this is a great step in that direction, and I support you 100%. Thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you, MPT Warren. Councilmember Holliday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Did I understand you correctly, Mr. Agajanian, that we already have the $1 million?
Yes, we had set aside $1 million for a development agreement, which actually expired. And so those funds were reserved for this project to get built. This is the sliver that we're selling is on a future retail development. And there was a DA in place, which they let lapse. And so those funds were applied to that, and now we're reallocating them to this purchase.
Excellent. And the fire chief, the area you showed outside of the city, if you could go back to, yeah, that one there. So that whole green area that we're providing mutual aid to, we get reimbursed for that, correct?
Not really.
No.
So we have an auto aid agreement with CAL FIRE that we signed about a little over a year ago. We're still working to fully implement that. Our computer systems need to talk better to do it. So we're doing it on a manual basis right now, but we do have an auto aid agreement that the closest unit will get the necessary resource on a critical level call, not on the lowest level calls, because we both do call triaging. There is no compensation agreement because it is an automatic aid agreement.
So if in the future, when Fire Station 6 is active, if we're providing 70% of the service to that area and we're not getting that reciprocation, is there a mechanism in place to deal with that? Or do we just pay it?
That would be a negotiation with the county that we would have to have.
But you're going to monitor that.
We will certainly monitor it. And I should mention that we do have Engine 83 at the airport that does come into the city. They get dispatched with our engine. Our engine generally ties or beats them to the area because of the delay in processing. One of the things we will have, though, is that the station at Engine 83, there's no guarantee that they're going to have a paramedic on that engine. We always have a paramedic on our engine. So some of the green dots you would have seen when I went back a few slides and showed the specific dots in that area of the 1 year sample. Some of those green dots actually captures when an Engine 83 would get on scene. There was no guarantee that we would have a paramedic that could render advanced life support as our engine could. This is one of the tricky situations with automatic aid agreements, is that there's sometimes you do end up with a little bit of more response from one side to the other.
I wouldn't be necessarily upset about a little difference. I would be concerned about a huge difference. And you answered my question that the mutual aid from the county side is at the airport, but they don't ever have paramedics, or they don't always have paramedics?
It depends on their staffing pattern.
We don't know.
But we don't have control of that. We do know on a daily basis. The dispatch centers know.
Okay.
So they know if it's staffed with a paramedic or not on their engine. They do have a paramedic squad that they opened there recently, so they do have paramedics there. Our agreement doesn't have the medic squads going back and forth, though. It's just the fire engines.
And where is the next closest county fire station from there?
The next closest county fire station?
Yes.
That would be down likely off Summers Bend area, which is where Butterfield turns into Murrieta Hot Springs.
Oh, way over there.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's even open.
It's open.
Is it open? Okay.
That's a long ways.
It is. It's a City of Temecula fire station.
Yeah, okay. And we have a automatic aid agreement with them as well, I assume.
We do, because that City of Temecula has county fire as their fire department. Our automatic aid agreement puts a 12-minute buffer around you. So anywhere within 12 minutes, we can share resources in that 12-minute window. So they would be just into that for this area.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councilmember DeForest.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to piggyback on that a little bit. City Manager Kim Summers and I did meet with Supervisor Washington and talked about mutual aid in that area, and he was very open to future discussion of resources coming from the county. So that also might be something we need to continue moving forward with, is that continued relationship with that.
Thank you, Councilmember DeForest. Seeing no other questions, Madam City Clerk, are there any public comments regarding this item?
Seeing none.
Okay. Bring it back for discussion. Any discussions? Seeing none, we have a motion from me and a second from Councilmember DeForest. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Great, thank you very much. Moving on to item number 22, amended and restated memorandum of understanding between the City of Murrieta and Murrieta Market Nights Incorporated regarding implementation of Murrieta Market Nights. Mr. Chancharansu, better?
Better.
Better, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor.
Agajanian.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. I don't have a presentation for you this evening, so hoping to keep this conversational. So in late 2022, the city entered into an agreement with Market Nights, Murrieta Market Nights, to operate a market night event similar to a farmer's market. So that agreement, the original agreement, expired 12 months later, around early 2024. And so since then, we've been operating on extensions as we move toward a proposal to bring forward a 2-year agreement, which is in front of you tonight. So with any new event or experience, it's not without its growing pains. So the original vision of the market night events was to draw people into the downtown area. Market Nights is held on the first and third Thursdays of most Thursday nights, and it will vary depend on weather. Sometimes they get canceled if it's too hot or raining and so forth. The number of events typically runs about 22 a year. And within the event area, so generally Washington is closed between B and C. Juniper is another cross street that can get closed, and as a result, we'll see the street closures. We'll see people that are coming into the event, they will bring in, or they'll park for longer periods of time than are normally expected. So it's not without its downsides. But on a positive note, with the goal of bringing more people into the downtown and doing some analysis, we've, for example, we've geofenced, if you've heard that term, the downtown area to determine what is the additional traffic volume pedestrians that are coming to that area. So we're estimating that Market Nights is bringing in about 7,000 additional people per event. As we tried to do like a cost benefit analysis of that, if you figure 22 events, roughly 140,000 people coming in over the year, and how much money the city is spending in support, which is approximately $120,000, we're basically spending about 78 cents per person coming into the downtown. And so that includes not only the police department, public safety support, it includes traffic control setup and takedown, and it also includes trash maintenance service by the CST department. For this event, Waste Management is also provided a waste bin, which the city is actually paying for at $150 a month. So we've given you those costs, and in exchange for the event, which is bringing in visitors, it's building community sense of place, and the businesses would normally pay what we call a customer attraction. They try to monetize that. So if business is paying between $5 and $15 to increase, their own customer base, the fact that we're paying less than $1 per person coming into the downtown for Market Nights, we thought was a great indication of how cost efficient this was, and how efficient that Marketplace is able to bring in people with really just our direct support of about $120,000 a year. So with that, in discussing how to move forward with an agreement, the Market Night folks are proposing our 2-year agreement for you. And one of the caveats of the agreement is that they've got the opportunity to expand. The agreement has an expansion area for your consideration, and so we would negotiate with Market Nights to do that expansion as they were able to ramp up and accomplish that. So we would need to consider possible additional city expenses at that time. But that's going to be a conversation that we have at the time that they're ready to move forward. So with that, the staff recommendation is to approve the amended and restated memorandum of memorandum of understanding between the City of Murrieta and Murrieta Market Nights, Inc. regarding the implementation of Murrieta Market Nights, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. And then that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I also have Mr. Agajanian, who's done a fair amount of footwork in the downtown to talk about the benefits of Market Nights for the downtown area.
Yes. So just to piggyback a little bit on what Mr. Chantarangsu was saying, in addition to the high density of traffic that we're getting in the downtown, the customer demographics are very strong. So the number one income demographic, for example, are people who make over $125,000 a year. So we're getting high income individuals who are coming to our downtown, experiencing our restaurants and our shopping, seeing all the different vendors that are coming out for Market Night, and hopefully getting impressed upon that this is a good downtown to come and visit. We're trying to create shopping habits, which is the purpose of any small business program, including Small Business Saturday, which we did a proclamation for earlier tonight. So the idea here is that we're trying to build habits of people coming to our downtown. And what you'll see is that throughout the year, our customer traffic in the downtown overall is extremely up. That's happened ever since the Market Nights began. So we've seen a strong resurgence in the downtown. While it hasn't exactly translated to new development yet, this kind of activity and effort and this kind of shopping patterns are what will bring future development to our downtown area.
Thank you. Any questions from my colleagues or staff? MPT Warren.
Thank you. I do have a couple questions. I'm assuming that this new agreement that I printed out tightened up some reporting requirements from Market Nights to the city. Is my understanding, because I did read it. I'm assuming that I didn't have the old one in front of me, so.
Yeah, there's a monthly reporting that happens, and so that information is due to us every quarter to evaluate. I should note that the Market Nights is operating under a 501. Well, it's a public benefit corporation. I don't remember the number, but it's a public benefit corporation, and so it gives us the ability to look at their gross revenues and expenses, and so we'll have a better understanding of costs and how those are being accumulated.
And how often will you be reviewing those records?
So the agreement calls for a quarterly submission.
Okay.
So we'll be doing it at that time.
Okay, and another question for you. I know a lot of the vendors that are down there are collecting sales tax. Are they reporting that for the city of Murrieta? It's a question I guess maybe Connie or Casey could answer, but I don't know they're collecting it because I've paid it. So I'm just wondering if they're reporting it properly back to the coffers of Murrieta, the portion that belongs to Murrieta. That's a concern of mine. And my other concern is, do we have vendors coming out there that are competing with our downtown businesses? So let's say, I'm just going to throw a business out. We have a candle shop as a regular business, and then a vendor would come in as a candle shop. Do we have that type of competition being business taken away from our downtown businesses?
So it's possible that a street vendor at Market Nights could be in competition with existing businesses.
Okay.
So one of the things that we noted in the report is that Market Nights gives vendors who are not maybe brick and mortar ready to have a format to come and sell their goods. So we think it's helping the next generation of entrepreneurs where they're perfecting, their goods or services or whatever it is that they're offering, and that hopefully that would springboard into a brick and mortar location as they become more successful.
Perfect. Thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you, MPT Warren. Councilmember Holliday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I read in your report that we're going away from the net income sharing feature of the last agreement, which I was not on council yet, but was sitting in the audience. I thought was a terrible idea. So I'm glad to see that. But I see you went to a $100 a month flat fee. Is that kind of like $1 a year lease type deal?
Basically, yes.
Okay. That's what I assumed, but I just wanted to clarify.
It's the same fee that was charged in the original agreement as well.
Okay, perfect. And I've been to many of the market nights over the last couple of years, and I usually stop by and talk to a lot of the vendors. And I asked them, I said, how many of these market nights do you go to outside of Murrieta? And most of them attend several other cities' markets nights. And I always ask, so how do we compare? And I don't think I've had a single one say, oh no, this is the best market nights we've ever been to. So I'm in a 100% support of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Holliday. Any other questions? Seeing none. Madam City Clerk, are there any public comments regarding this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Casey Gerardo.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, city manager, and those who are hanging out this long tonight. I would like to highlight some of the benefits that Murrieta Market Nights have, which are many. We are creating a citizens' awareness of the downtown or Main Street area. We're creating and contributing to an economic ecology that we hope to grow on Main Street. We're creating an identity and a branding for Main Street, creating a local and consistent community gathering event on Main Street. And it's also in compliance and following the adopted 2017 specific plan recommendations. One of the components within the specific plan is that farmers markets and or street fairs or markets are a great way to ignite an economic ecology in the revitalization of a downtown, which we would love to see, of course. This also complies with one of the recommendations within an organization that we've recently joined, Main Street America, which has been around for 40 years, and they are dedicated to revitalizing downtown areas across the country. And they also work in compliance in conjunction with Main Street, California. And I attend those seminars. And again, markets are a vital part of the initiation of a revitalization of a downtown area. Another benefit I have to mention is that Pat and Annette Jennings, who have both worked for the city, they man our information booth every time we have a market. And their contribution is to inform the participants of what's going on with city government, what's going on with the amphitheater, the museum, the library, local businesses, market night questions, upcoming events. They also handle the lost and found. And we have a little game we play called Find Borrego, where we hide a little sheep in the historical and cultural background of Juan Murrieta being a sheep herder. So that's been a fun thing for the kids. Pat and Annette are by many metrics the most qualified and committed volunteer citizens to share city and market night information. Everyone in the city is fortunate, very fortunate to have them and their dedication because they love that downtown area. We have worked very hard to understand and try to understand all the needs of the brick and mortars. We walk up and down and we talk to them quite often. It's not all positive, I'll be honest with you, but it's mostly we're seeing an increase of 30 to 40% with the restaurants. The only one that complains is the market, and I have to be honest about that, and that's Murrieta Market. Oh, okay, there it is.
Thank you, Casey.
We look forward to extending this community event. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Connie McConnell?
Well, he stole some of my thunder with about Pat and Annette. But anyway, I just wanted to say real quick is that all of you have been to our markets. I don't know about you, Justin, but I know everybody else up here has been. You know how it is. You know the enthusiasm. All we ever get is, oh, we're so glad you're doing this. This is so much fun. We're so glad to have a family event to come to. And I want to point out that there's been other attempts in the past to do the same thing. One was at a market at the community center parking lot, and then there's been 2 on the corner of Juniper and Washington on Daniel Billings' property. But all of those failed. And why did they fail? One of the reasons is they didn't have Casey and I working our tails off to make it successful. But the other reason is with our partnership with the city, we've been able to do a lot of things that nobody else could do, which is like opening the streets, having the encroachment agreement on the street. So we're very proud of that. We're very glad it's gone now 2 years with this situation, and we wanted to see it go a lot farther. And we feel that the partnership with the city is working. We have reached out to the brick and mortars. In the past, we have done surveys with them. Most of it's positive, a little bit negative, but most of the restaurants say they're up by at least 30% on the evenings that we have the markets. As far as being in competition with the candles and stuff like that, there's not a lot of shops that sell the things that they sell. And some of our local shops down there, like Sunset Gypsy, they're actually some of our vendors. Pure Pilates has come in and been a vendor, and I better hurry. I just wanted to tell you that we have done surveys, we have reached out, we've tried to reach out to all the rest of the other businesses at the other end of town. We never did have much cooperation or involvement coming back from them, but we do reach out on a regular basis. We do surveys, and we try to make it good for everyone. And any questions you guys have, you know where to find us. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes public comments, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, Madam City Clerk. Moving on to council comments and discussion. Seeing none, I see a motion from Councilmember DeForest and a second from Councilmember Holliday. Please vote. Great.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Moving on to discussion item 23, appointment of Justin Clifton as the city manager, approval of the city manager employment agreement. Staff?
Madam Mayor, I'm presenting this item
Thank
tonight.
you. Hello, Madam City Attorney. I'm getting tired. Please proceed.
This will be a short item. Bookending the presentation of outgoing city manager Kim Summers earlier tonight, this item is to take a step forward with your next city manager. We're presenting to you an employment agreement as well as a resolution to approve that appointment agreement, as well as to confirm the acting appointment of Justin Clifton as the acting city manager. It will set an annual salary of $341,712.80 beginning November 22nd, 2024, which is when he would commence his acting city manager status. It also has a term of 3 years, a cell phone allowance of $70 a month. It would give him the same annual leave and admin leave as provided to the other at-will executive staff. It gives him an auto allowance of $600 a month. It establishes that his enrollment in CalPERS plan would be as a new miscellaneous member of CalPERS. And it says that the city will pay 100% of the premium for group medical and dental care for him and his dependents. And it also establishes a deferred comp contribution equal to the maximum 457B plan allowed, excluding catch-up contributions. The final provision I want to touch on tonight is the 12-month severance. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none? Madam City Clerk, is there any public comments regarding this item?
Seeing none.
Okay. I'll move it back to discussion. Any comments or discussion? Councilmember Holliday.
I would just like to officially say welcome and looking forward to everything that we can do together.
Thank you, Councilmember Holliday. Councilmember Lavelle.
Piggyback on that, if it wasn't Wednesday already, I'd probably be singing you a song. Welcome aboard, Justin.
Aren't you glad it's not Wednesday?
No, Dr. Seuss?
I'll take a rain check on the song.
Let's vote him in.
Justin, you know, as I stated to our city manager, she's done a remarkable job in hiring, I think, the best of the best. And I think that you are a phenomenal choice to move Murrieta forward. I'm so glad that you and your family have moved to Murrieta. So you are a resident as well, and you have meat in the game. And so, welcome. I look so forward to working with you, and I wish you nothing but the very, very best. And I think that I can say that on behalf of the entire council and staff. So I just want to. So I see we have a motion from Councilmember DeForest and a second from Councilmember Holliday. Please vote.
Motion carries unanimously, 5-0.
Yay. Madam City Clerk, is there any reconsideration?
Any council member who voted on the prevailing side of the original motion may move a reconsideration at the same or the next meeting.
Councilmember LaBelle, pay attention, please. Go ahead, sorry.
Are there any requests for reconsiderations by this council? Seeing none?
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Madam City Clerk, notice of pending approval, final map, track map TR 38228.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Notice is hereby given that an application was filed by Discovery Village LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, for tentative track map 38228 to subdivide 55.8 acres into 8 parcels for residential and non-residential innovation uses. Engineering staff has completed a review of the final map for conformance with the Subdivision Map Act and the Murrieta Municipal Code. Final track map TR 38228 conforms to the considerations of approval and the tentative parcel map. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Moving on to governing body announcements. Governing body announcements is an opportunity for City Council to provide miscellaneous reports and announcements. Announcements should not exceed 2 minutes. The City Clerk will use the computerized timer. Councilmember DeForest.
I'll make mine short and sweet since we do want to not be here on Wednesday. I just want to say thank you so much to staff for an amazing Murrieta trunk or treat at Town Square Park. What a lot of fun, and it was amazing to see all the little ones. I had a blast. And then just to highlight another thing that I did, if you want to see everything else, you could go on the website and look it up as well. But I participated with my fellow colleagues on the Veterans Day Parade, and a year ago, Cy Rangel asked me if I would ride with him. He had always wanted to ride the horse in the parade, and I think that we made both of our dreams come true and rode horses down the parade. We had a blast. So thank you to my fellow colleagues for allowing us to do that and to make Cy, which I felt like I was riding with a movie star. It was amazing. So also, if you need to get a hold of me, my cell phone, as well as text me, or if you want to give me a call, or you can also send me an email to my email right there. So thank you so very much, Madam Mayor, and I am done.
Thank you, Councilmember DeForest. Councilmember Lavelle.
Thank you. I only have one. I attended the Riverside County Sheriff Benevolent Fundraiser CrossFit Challenge this past weekend with one of our own Murrieta PD, Officer Duffy, and Assemblyman Bill Staley. Happy to say we got 4th place overall out of 25 really, really fit people. So happy to be the representing Murrieta and happy to contribute to the Benevolent Fund.
Oh, there was one other thing that you did.
What did I do?
I was with you.
What was it?
Loma Linda Hospital.
You know where you work?
Yeah, I worked there.
Yeah, the Cops for Kids program.
My
Oh my gosh.
I was going to let you do that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I purposely left that one out of mine because I worked there and you were happy about that day. So.
Okay, all right, Councilmember Holliday.
Like herding cats. So as I was typing this stuff out, I got very tired because we've been a month since we've had a council meeting, and it's like, man, I got to slow down. I'm not going to read it all. If you want to see all the different things, you can go onto the website. I would like to highlight a couple things. One is we had the Marine Corps' 249th birthday this year. Next year will be the 250th birthday, and I'm going to be inviting Brigadier General from Camp Pendleton to join us. I've been going down to his events down at Camp Pendleton, met him a few times. Seems like a super nice guy, and I think it'd be great if we could get him up to Murrieta for that day. Of course, we had Dark in the Park and the Field of Honor and the Veterans Day Parade and all that good stuff. Youth in Government, which is always fun to see a bunch of second graders, and they don't want to see us. They want to see the mayor. And the Murrieta Fire Lateral Academy graduation, which was phenomenal as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Holliday. MPT Warren.
We're going to do a little receive and file. I have several pages. I've been very busy as well, but I did want to highlight Brian Ambrose and your staff and the entire team that helped put the Veterans Parade on. It's like a well-oiled machine. It goes on without a hitch, and it was fabulous. And I just truly, truly enjoyed seeing all the kids and everybody dressed up in their red, white, and blue. So please thank your team and any staff members that are out there helping besides. It is an honor to be a part of that, to give so much pride to our veterans, and our community is full of veterans, and they make me smile every day because they're out there cheering everybody on, and I just loved it. So please send my gratitude to your team, and we'll receive and file all these pages. Thank you.
Thank you, MPT Warren. As far as myself, as the mayor, I'm very busy, and you'll see my list of events that I attended, and you can review them on our website. Moving on to council member requests to add or withdraw items to future agendas. Now is the time for council members' requests to add or withdraw items to future agendas. There will be no discussion on the request. A brief explanation of the request may be given. The merit of the item being requested may not be discussed or debated. Now, are there any requests from my colleagues for future agenda items? Seeing none, but I do have one. I need to find my notes. Colleagues, I would like to bring forward for the December 3rd City Council meeting a resolution for the state of California to reverse the mandate with unrealistic goals with regards to affordable high-density apartments.
I'd second that. Can I ask if we could, or you would change apartments to just housing?
It's high, well, we can do high-density apartments, high-density affordable, high-density apartments as well. So yes, it's all of the above.
All right, you have my second.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. So, Madam City Clerk, I have consensus. Do you, oh, well, I have consent.
Yeah, I said yes.
Yes, okay, fantastic. Okay. Thank you. We have consensus. Okay.
Understood, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Before we adjourn tonight's meeting, I would like to take a moment, and it's not just me taking a moment. I think I'm talking on behalf of the entire City Council and our city employees. We'd like to take a moment of silence in honor of Adam Bouvet. Adam Bouvet was known by many for being a pillar of the community, always willing to go the extra mile and help out with community events, supporting our local heroes and loving Murrieta. But he was also a devoted family man who made a profound impact on all those who had the privilege of knowing him. He leaves behind a loving wife who will continue to remain a pillar in the community, and his 3 children and 7 grandchildren. He will be missed and his legacy of love, compassion, and community will be remembered by all. There was a saying that my mom had that was very profound to me, and that was, a rich person wasn't a large bank account or the flashiest car or the biggest home on the block. My mother said that a rich person was somebody that left behind a good name. And I think that Adam was the richest person that I know. So let us all take a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you, and this meeting is now adjourned, and it is, Madam City Clerk, 10 o'clock.